Hello, we are live. Welcome to the short Rest Tavern. Greetings, travellers. This is where we share stories, tell tales, and explore adventures through Dungeons and Dragons. Welcome to episode 1.
Yes.
Hey!
So thank you very much for those people who have joined us already. Thank you very much for joining us on our first session in D&D Candlekeep Mysteries at the Short Rest Tavern. We have a brand new party, a brand new book, brand new adventures, and in just a few minutes we're going to jump in and see where we end up. So, a few thanks before we start. A few thanks to people who've put some stuff together to get us up and running. Firstly, on Fiverr, Rubik Designs, who put together all our overlays, a lot of our graphic work and animations. Big thank you to them, and they've been fantastic to work with. Their details are below in the partners. Same with all the players who've worked behind the scenes, putting together character descriptions, bios, working on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitch, and everyone's kind of pulled together and put some hours in this week to make sure that we can be up and running for tonight's debut. So thank you very much for all you guys. We
expect a few pints at the tavern bar.
Yeah, can expect what you want. So, I can say in just a few seconds we are going to start tonight's game. We are going to be uploading all of the content over to YouTube. That will be up before next week's session. So if you do miss anything, you want to catch up, that is all going to be available on there. And we are going to be back every Monday at 7:30 PM GMT to continue. Candlekeep Mysteries, a little bit different to some of the D&D campaigns you may have watched or may have played in. This is a series of one-shots, which will have an overarching narrative. However, for the most part, it's going to be these nice little one-shots. If you do fall behind, you do want to jump out and catch back up with the group, you're only ever going to be 2 or 3 episodes behind a kind of a fresh start or a fresh dip in. So hopefully it keeps it nice and fresh. We get to explore lots of different settings. We get to do some time jump stuff. We get to explore some characters' downtime and a few bits and pieces we don't get to do in a longer narrative. So, that all said, one last thing. Nearly forgot about that. So, anyone who is viewing, when we get to our break, about halfway through tonight's session, we do have a giveaway to announce. So, we are going to thank you very much to some friends at D&D Beyond. We have got a few copies of Candlekeep Mysteries on D&D Beyond to give away. We'll let you know how you can do that on the break, and we'll be giving one person a copy of Candlekeep Mysteries to take away, have a look through, and hopefully run their own games for the first couple of months of broadcasting. So if you want to be in a chance with win that, stick around and we'll be able to get that sorted for you. So, unless anyone else has got anything else to add, I think we're all covered. All right then. So, this party is a colourful bunch. They hail from distant lands. They hail from other planes of existence even, and bring in with them an eclectic group of skills, backgrounds, ways of life, culture, and prowess. We join them after they set south from the city of Waterdeep. After picking up contracted work through the Lord's Alliance, the group has done reconnaissance work, scouting, bringing back information, generally keeping their heads low, staying out of trouble, and reporting back. Recently, they've accepted a contract to track down a sage by the name of Matreus. Matreus, known in the local parts, has been an expert on all things curses, hexes, specifically to the land around them. There's been reports of farmland failing to deliver crops, animals growing sick, rainwater not being taken on. And some of the local farmers are starting to complain, starting to threaten political switching sides, voting against the Lords of Waterdeep's interest. And so the Lords Alliance has set our group the task to track Matreus down and have him report back in and re-establish that communication with the Lords Alliance so they can make better use of his skills. It was last reported to have taken a sabbatical, where he headed a couple of days' travel south down the coastal road to the fabled Candlekeep Fortress. where the party are en route, heading down the coastal road. Bear with me 2 seconds. My music died. We'll sort that in a second. We have walking, spring in their step, music filling the air as this diverse group of individuals, to say the least, share small talk, share jokes, share whatever road rations and beverages they've packed for the trip. About a day now since you had headed out from Waterdeep. Probably cutting the darkest figure against the late afternoon sun is Dearney. Dark armour, ashen dark skin, kind of stands out against the grass and the trees and the sunshine flying overhead. Towering above, athletic, muscular, and the black tribal markings giving away their Goliath heritage, there's Igraine. Walking, head held high, enjoying the breeze, the symbol of Tempest, never too far. And then enjoying a laugh and a joke and merriment towards the back of the party, we have shorter than most, with warm autumn coloured skins and fur, 2 sweatback horns protruding from under impeccable rich mahogany hair, the music of Irene dancing across the land as the rest of them fall into step, keeping the spirits on this long journey. Dark tan rippling physique of Sahar with the black raven hair and emerald green eyes, striking, even back home, with silks and gold trim that are somewhat unusual for these parts, but the sun, the warmth, dressed for the occasion. And then last but not least, the lilac skinned tiefling, purple hair pulled up into 2 buns framing their face, a single horn above the left eye, with usually eyes hid behind the blue-green heavy-set goggles and an assortment of tools and potions, usually belted and attached, as they explore reagents and compounds. It's mid-afternoon. You guys have been on the road about a day and a half since. So far, the journey's been nice. It's the coastal route, travelling down from Waterdeep towards Candlekeep Mysteries. The sun is in the sky, the birds are about. To the right, you can see the cliff descending towards the coast and the sea below. And to the left, you have the rolling fields, rural areas, patches of trees, meadows, and long, worn trade routes. Cresting over the hill, probably maybe about 20 minutes, 30 minutes in front, you can just start seeing a few finger-like towers cresting over. To the far right, a peninsula. The path takes a fork, heads to the right, and you can see this odd sight of countless towers of different sizes, shapes, materials that crest over the hill and silhouette against the blue skies. And this is where we are, and this is where we'll jump in. You guys have with you a single brown paper package that has been given to you by the Lord's Alliance under the description of, if you have any problems gaining access to Matreus, that this package could serve you well. So, over to you guys. You are on the path. The music of the lyre rings around, and you can see these towers in the distance.
I'd like to look down to Irene and say, can you see them? Can you see them up there? As I point from my 6'4" height to the towers starting to appear in the distance.
Irene kind of stops playing for a second, almost like it's just away with it because she just got so carried away in playing, and she's like, sorry, what?
In the distance, we're almost there. Look, that's Candlekeep.
Are you telling me that you can see it?
Yeah, can't you?
As the next couple of minutes or a few seconds pass, those of the shorter stature can now also see the towers cresting the hill. Igraine towering above the rest of you. Yeah, even in the kind of rocky outcroppings, the towers start gaining height, and the large stone walls and the path that leads over, kind of on a precipice. The fortress itself is right on the edge of the cliffs, with a single road, sheer drop on each side that kind of extends for a few hundred feet up to the fortress itself.
Okay, I'm 4'6". Oh wait, no, yeah, look, yeah, I see it. I see it.
Should we check in this parcel to see what is in the, if we get any issues at the gate?
Are we to check it before we need to?
Might be wise,
not.
because we don't know what's in it.
That didn't occur to me.
Okay, we'll
Makes
see.
sense.
You were just handled the parcel by a runner from the Lord's Alliance. You were not given any instruction either way. You've not been told to open it. You've not been told specifically not to open it. But it is in your possession. Whoever wants to have hold of that. It's probably around a couple of foot by about a foot. Kind of like A3 size, I guess. Weighs about a kilo. Seems
I'll
quite
open
sturdy and you open it. Okay, so you rip apart the paper. Soon falls away. It's not particularly well. And in it, you do find what appears to be a large, leather-bound book.
Look.
The book itself is about 1.5 inches thick and is titled Fungus, Fungi and Mushrooms, Their Purposes and Their Dangers.
How is this meant to get us into Candlekeep?
Is it written in common?
It is.
That sounds like not a lot of fun. What is it?
Well, Candlekeep's a library, isn't it? Maybe we're returning the book.
Have we literally just been sent to return a book? I don't think that's why we're here.
I think yes is in.
Well, we're meant to be going to find this Matreus person. Maybe they're a fungologist or something.
Funologist.
Cute.
Fungologist.
Well, whatever it is, it's supposed to get us through the gate, so.
We might not need it at this point. They said we might not need it, so.
If they,
Also,
if
it's
they
just-
read it, can I read it?
It's a
I'll
really
keep it in
handy
my
book
bag
to
for
have.
now.
Like, it's good to know about mushrooms. Like, they're tasty. Sometimes too tasty. Like, that's tasty.
As you guys debate the intricacies of fungal books, you do divert right, and you are now on this quite imposing, slightly uphill trek. It is a well-worn cobblestone path, slightly overgrown with weeds and grassland and scrubland, that takes you out over the cliffs on basically about a 30-40 foot width path that follows the up. And before you, you see huge pale stone walls, probably towering up to 50 foot at the highest points, with a number of towers, covered areas, and a pair of huge black wrought iron gates, themselves around 20-30 feet in height, where one of them appears pulled open and one of them seems shut. You can see a couple of figures at the end of the road by the gate. Little specks of purple-robed individuals.
I think we're about to find out if we need it or not.
I'll just keep it in my bag for now then.
I like the robes.
Let me take the lead forward. Keep the book on hand.
So Zahar
Zahara will take the front.
strides
She'll-
forward. You guys, you start by the time you get to the gate, the path a little bit longer than it looks, and as you start approaching, you can kind of start feeling that little bit of ache in the back of your calves as the uphill has maybe not for you, Sahar and Igraine, but the other three of you, you might start feeling it in the back of your calves. Your approach, and you do spot 3 purple-robed, well-kept looking humans, varying in ages, ranging from kind of their early 20s into middle age. They seem deep in conversation, and they don't seem to notice as you guys head up and start approaching. Beyond the gates, the wrought iron gates, you can see this kind of shimmering, almost ethereal purple light that seems to cloud and dance between the bars of the fence and the gate beyond, and it kind of adds this weird purple filter to everything behind it. Behind the gate, you can see a very well-kept flagged courtyard. The similar grey stone of the towers disappears beyond, and you see more of the similarly garbed individuals scurrying back and forth, some carrying what look like heavy boxes, some carrying scrolls. It seems a hub of activity beyond the threshold.
Doesn't this remind me of home? Shudder a bit.
You
Look
okay?
around. Unpleasant memories. Where to now?
In, I guess.
So as you guys approach the gate, you see a couple of the individuals kind of catch themselves and kind of take a moment. They kind of are startled, kind of stand a little bit to your attention and turn to face your way. And they kind of look out to you expectantly as the colourful bunch pull up to the gates. Greetings.
Hi.
Greetings.
What's your business on this afternoon?
But
That's you have to narrow that down, I'm afraid. Here we have plenty of those.
well, we're not wrong.
That is true. We seek
looking
one
for
called
that-
Matreus.
Matreus. Aye, he works here. He's been here for some time, and who is it seeking his attention?
My group. My name is Sahar. I have something that he needs.
Just one moment. And he turns, he kind of pushes up these wiry glasses up the bridge of his nose and kind of
She'll
pulls
just
a
bow to him a little
little
bit.
scruff of grey hair across the chin. And he turns and pulls a scroll out, and you can see a flash of gold arcane script that just flies past impossibly quickly. And you can see his eyes darting back and forwards as this gold text just flies up, like Matrix style text. It's just indecipherable. And you can, no Saharan here, I'm afraid. Is this your first time visiting the library?
Well, it is, but we're here as a group, so it might be underneath that name.
You aware of the conditions of entry?
No, would you let us know, please?
Anyone seeking to become seekers here at Candlekeep must provide a new source of information, a new document, a novel, a recipe, a scripture not yet within our collection.
I
Perhaps
step
we can.
forward.
And we're
She'll step to the side.
Kind of takes the fairly exotic image of Sahar as quite a stern contrast to the dark, armoured, skinned, and sinister-looking Deanie. He kind of, again, like shrinks down a little bit before kind of remembering his station, perks back up and kind of puffs his chest out a little bit, probably standing a few inches shorter than you still.
She'll point and be something like this. Point to Deanie.
I just pull out the book and just hold it and just stare him down.
Is that to be your contribution to the library?
Not the only one from the looks of it. I have some information I could probably leave behind eventually.
All we ask is that each visitor who wishes to become a seeker here donates to the cause and to help spread the wealth of information contained within these walls. And then,
Oh, I'm sure my group can oblige with that very easily.
may I see
I may
the
have
tomb?
some. I may have some information that you are unlikely to find in your tomes.
It has to be written in books and recordable information that others can learn from, others can study. If I may, and he reaches out for the book.
Not just yet. I'll give it to you when we're inside.
I'm afraid conditions of entry require the book to be checked against our records to see if it is in fact something we do not possess. And should that be the case, we will graciously accept that donation and grant you access to the courtyard beyond.
Would you mind if I oversee this checking? Just out of safety reasons.
By all means. May I?
Hold on.
He holds his hand out again.
Deanie, it's fine.
While
Okay.
this is going down, Irini is just kind of gonna hurriedly like open her bag and start snuffling through like a load of papers and just like bits.
Like handbag.
The biggest tote bag you've ever seen.
Bottomless bag of bits.
It's literally the size of Irini. This tote bag full of stuff.
The spectacled gentleman takes the book from you, Deanie, and turns. Rodin, you check this one for me. Yes. And the smaller, younger-looking chap steps forward, takes the book, and you can see now, just the right of the gate, there's a stone plinth, maybe waist height. You can see engravings and scripture all over it. And this almost like, not quite off, like an off-white polished marble with these grey silvery veins running through it. And the whole table kind of hums with this silverish glow around it. Anyone proficient in religion?
Turn around.
We definitely know our.
So we have a cleric.
Yeah,
One of you
character
must be. If anyone is proficient with religion and wants to see if they can, wants to run me a religion check, please.
Yeah. No problem.
I think I am, but I think it's only in.
16.
I am.
16. If Sahar, if you want to roll one as well for me.
Yep. $11.
Okay. Both of you recognize it's a fairly common deity. There's this very stylized, almost runic emblem of gold on a red background at the base of the pillar, representing a candlestick. One like that would be held in like a handheld lantern rather than kind of a wall-mounted. The symbol of Denier, the scribe of Ogma, and one of the principal deities. And the gentleman who handed the book over, the one he identified as Rodin, places the book upon this pedestal, and you see this warmth, shimmering, almost golden like thread begin to kind of drift over it and rotate around it. And he kind of looks down and places his hand on the top, and you can see his eyes take on a similar golden hue as over the next couple of minutes there's a few noises of confirmation and interest before the effect fades. He turns. They may pass. The book is not one we have in our connection. It will serve people well in their studies.
Did you just read that book?
Did not read it, no. We checked it against our archives to make sure there's no duplicates, make sure the information isn't already known, and that it adds value to these shelves.
Yeah. Can I learn to do that?
Sorry, say that again. You cut out a little bit there.
Can I learn to do that?
Maybe. All walks of life are able to study here at the fortress, and you may join the ranks of the Avowed yourself one day, should you take to that path.
Things to do, but...
We have time, Mel.
Denier does not separate from race or creed or any willing to embrace them can study here in these walls, and provided the right discipline and time and commitment, you can achieve great things.
Do you have to wear purple? Might clash.
You look down
think it'll
in your
suit you
purple
well.
shirt, purple hair, lilac skin, and orange pants.
Slightly well will suit you. Calm down, Mel.
Yeah.
Let's leave the gentleman alone.
I'll leave you here with my colleague while I take the book to the archives to be interred. Good day. And he tucks it under one arm, kind of pulls the rows up, and power walks off into the distance with the book under arm. And you are left with the bespectacled older gentleman in the purple robes. He looks down at you, all's like, very well, the offering has been accepted. You may join the court of air beyond, but first I will need names. And he pulls out quite an ornate looking quill. That's probably about 6 inches longer than it really needs to be, and kind of tips over at the end and almost tickles his own face as he's writing with it. And in the other hand pulls out a small book from an inside pocket, flips it open, and is looking expectantly at you. Names?
Irini.
Irini.
sorry.
And he scribbles it down. And as he writes, you can see he doesn't dip the quill in ink. And as he writes, the ink seems to absorb into the page, and it doesn't leave any visible mark.
She's gonna kind of look around the corner and be like, Irini, so that's 3 eyes, an N, an R, and pumpkin, as in like the thing you eat.
Very well. And scribbles it down. The rest of you?
Brain.
Size order. Who's next?
Size order. Probably Irini, Mal,
Mel.
I'm
Sahar,
not saying my name again.
Igraine. So yeah, we'll say that your names are given. And before the scribe takes your names one by one, and as same with Irini, each message has been written. The ink disappears into the page, and he closes the book with a dull slam and thud.
I like that noise.
A dull thud. Now, we'll make you aware, we do have a tight ship run here, and there is zero tolerance policy on violating our orders of accordance. If I make you aware of them now, please, no fighting, even amongst yourselves within the walls. We have strict guards, the gate warden himself, and you do not want to be on the wrong side of them. So please, keep your hands to yourself. Disagreements can be dealt with as scholars, not as ruffians from the cities. No stealing, any description, whether that's food, refreshments,
Irini.
or any assets of the library itself. No copying. You may take notes and you may study the works, but to any full copy, you will need to go to the house of the binder and have a copy requested and commissioned. And finally, there should be no damaging, marking, or modifying any of the works within these halls. Anything that breaks the orders of accordance, you will withdraw the right to be classed as seekers here, and you'll be ejected and banned.
Mister? But what if the books have made a mistake?
Then you can alert one of the avowed, and we will make it known to the readers, and they will assess.
And the whole copy thing, like, I can make notes, but I can't directly... Why?
Because we have a reputation to uphold, and copies that may contain rituals or magics or recipes of medicinal herbs, poisons even. If they are copied incorrectly, they can wrought damage to the land. Medicines can become toxins. Healing spells can become lethal. We have.
What's the difference between copying and taking notes?
If you want to make
Because what if the notes are wrong, and that happens?
That's your own risk. That's not a reputation if you've handwritten something. But if you request a carbon copy of scripture or books, then please make them aware of the House of Bindings. They'll be able to help you in such endeavours.
But I'm writing your words in my hand. That's just copying. That's also making notes. So
House of the Binding at the left on the way in.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna... Do you guys have a place where, like, you can get food or I can cook something?
Yes. It's a little bit late it's a little bit between meal times at the moment, but as you enter the court, just past the temple, you'll see the hearth and the house of rest. The inn and the tavern respectively, and should you inquire there, I'm sure they'll be able to let you know when dinner is to be served, and should you require lodgings or a place to stay for the evening.
Is the food actually good though?
Sounds good. Let's gather our bearings first.
We
Point the way.
Travellers travel from distant lands across realms to be here. I'm sure the accommodation is to a suitable standard.
I don't care about the food. I mean, like, the accommodation. I care about the food. Is the food good?
Irini will find out.
Enjoy your stay here.
It'll be fine. Don't worry.
Okay. And she's just kind of like a little bit disheartened and not quite sure.
He steps to the side and allows you passage through the single open gate, towering above you with the kind of, now you can see behind him, you've kind of got this weird image of half of the vision has kind of got this purplish filter over it as you're looking through the gate, and then the area that isn't is normal daylight, and the sky is blue, and the ground is this grey polished stone, and you guys are granted entry into the court of air.
Hey guys, can you still see me? Do I blend in?
It's not far off. It's not far off mal purple, which is now a standard colour.
Wait, if you just take a step back, you will completely disappear. Quite an amazing trick.
It's
I'll
a very
use them and just kind of look around and be like, I don't.
It's a really weird visual because like the bright orange pants clash horrendously, and then when the van, like everything else kind of melds together. It's a little bit odd.
Out of there's maybe Bard D&E. You're the one I'm scared of not being able to see the most.
You are granted
I turned back to the guy that we just spoke to. It's like, so where is he?
Sorry? Oh, Matreus. That's right.
Yes.
Don't know his exact location right now. He's been here for several months. I believe he has a room at the House of Rest, and I believe he's been studying within the pillars. If you inquire around him, I'm sure one of the Avowed will be able to help you locate him. I have a post to stick to, I'm afraid. You'll have to seek guidance elsewhere.
Oh, I stopped listening. I walked off.
Targan was not much obliged.
Run after Dione.
Wish them a good day and waltz after them after she kind of looks around, be like, okay.
I'm gonna like
Everybody
seeing how excitable Irene is. I'm gonna put my hands on her shoulders and almost steer her like behind the party so she doesn't get distracted and try and wander off somewhere.
So
Kind of Irene kind of like straightens her neck just to like try and look behind, just like thank you for your help. I hope the fear's good. Bye.
you are taken, or sorry, you walk, or in case of Irene's case, steered into the courtyard, the Court of Air. It feels expansive. The sky vanishes overhead in all directions. The blue sky, not a cloud in it. Surrounding you on all four sides are these huge 50-foot high fortress walls with buttresses and fortifications all the way around. The courtyard itself is beyond immaculate. It is possibly the tidiest open-areaed courtyard probably you've all seen. Maybe Irene has seen something cleaner or like more pristine. For the rest of you, it is beyond immaculate.
My kitchen.
As you walk in through the gatehouse, you can see immediately to your left a row of buildings. There's about 5 or 6 buildings that kind of follow the entire left-hand wall. To the right-hand wall, running all the way down, there is a series of circular, cylindrical pillars that rise up different heights, different thicknesses, with flat roofs, and you can see a number of windows kind of scattered about them, with a central entrance point about halfway down the right-hand wall. Directly opposite the other side of the courtyard, some 100 foot in the distance, or some several hundred feet in the distance, you see another inner wall. The wall even taller, looks more imposing. Behind that is the densest, most sensory overload amount of different towers, spires, pillars that seem to be of impossible geometry. Some of them scaling hundreds of foot, some of them wide, some of them at an angle, some of them kind of change direction in midair, others have other towers coming from them, windows of different shapes, sizes, different coloured glass. The pillars themselves seem to be made of different materials. You have dark stone, some are made from wood, some are made from almost like a shimmering liquid copper. There are some that appear to be made of kind of like an organic scaled material, and these pillars and towers and spires form the entire back half and the library proper. Between you and there is this huge emerald door, 30-40 feet in height, ornate. There are carved workings of deities, of gods, of scenes from history. There are hundreds of intricate gold inlays and decorative elements, and the door itself pulses with this low green light. It is stunning. And it's all like, as you walk in, you can see the row of pillars to the right, the houses and buildings to your left, and just this immense, awe-inspiring emerald door about 100 feet ahead of you.
I'm gonna still have my hands on Irene's shoulders, but I'll just like look around, or like gobsmacked with my sort of mouth hanging open, eyes darting around everywhere, and I've got an image of Irene doing the same, like just 2 foot below my head.
So that guard was useless. Which one of these pillars?
This gives me a headache. I've never seen so much.
It is a little.
I say we try them all.
It gives you a little bit of
No.
vertigo as you look up. Everything's so high around you, and you're in this open courtyard. As you kind of look up and turn around, it's very easy to kind of keep turning around, taking in all the sights, and it's very. It's a very vertical environment. There's a lot of things looking up.
My goggles
hard,
are
this-
getting even closer. Too much.
Is there anyone in the courtyard that we can see?
Yeah, make a perception check for me, please.
Ooh, first roll.
Zara at this point is just unamused, visually unamused, and is just looking around. At this
19.
point, like
19. Okay. On a 19, you see there's a few people running around. You spot up on the top of the battlements, there seems to be a number of robed individuals. They don't seem to have the same deep purple as the people you've met. They seem to have this almost two-tone of this more dusky purple mixed with brilliant white. And they seem to be walking and patrolling around the tops of the fortress walls, looking both in and out, checking both sides, and kind of politely nodding to those dressed similarly coming the other way, passing on around the edges. You see a number of these purple-robed Avowed. The priests of Dehea are... There's a few of them scurrying around. You see one young halfling, probably no more than 15, 16 years old, kind of scurry past an armful of books and just balancing them, leans left, leans right, keeping this impossibly high stack of books, and disappears from left to right and disappears into the entrance to the areas where the pillars are. And you see a similar, like, a bunch of... There's Dragonborn, there's halflings, you see a figure just enter into the building at the end that is of a race you've never seen before. It's like almost like a scaled, almost like a half orc, but not as any that you've recognised or seen. You see elves, tieflings, gnomes, and a huge, just wide range of ages, garb, and all this purple. You do spot also plain dress people walking around. There are a number of people who don't have the purple garb that seem to be anywhere from people just wearing scholarly robes. You see a couple of people who look like adventuring types with various hide armors, weaponry, kind of bimbling around in groups, not that dissimilar from yourself. But yeah, the courtyard is a bit of a hub of activity. There's all sorts of folk, people going about their business.
I walk up to the most senior looking person.
What
And
are you using to determine how senior someone is?
They look older. They've got the darker robes, the darker purple robes on. They look more scholarly, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Longest beard.
Yeah, longest beard, that
Longest beard.
old chestnut. Yeah.
Okay, you do see a fairly older looking human with a surprisingly dark beard, but it is quite impressive. Not so much outwards, but just it's like this long pointed beard that extends almost down to the navel. No hair on top, just this long beard that goes all the way down. And they kind of walk with a little bit of purpose, and they almost look contemplative, like staring up at the sky and walking around and muttering to themselves. And they kind of, whilst they're looking up, they don't kind of notice you, and they kind of almost like cut through the middle of your party and carry on mumbling to themselves as they're looking up at the sky.
I walk over and just stand in front of them. So, do you know where Matreus is?
But sorry, who? What?
Matreus, apparently he is in one of the pillars. He's been here for several months studying. Do you know where he is? Or who can help me find him?
I'm sorry. Who are you?
My name is Dione. I'm looking for Matreus.
Okay. What is it this regarding? It's are you new here? I don't think I've seen you around, and you could quite the striking image, if I may say so.
Well, you've just answered your own question. You haven't seen me around, so ergo, I am new here. So, do you know where Matreus is?
You can check over at the tavern over there. I'm busy at the moment. Much work to do. You understand? He starts making his way, makes his leave from you.
I'm not asking you to take me to him. Just tell me where he is.
seems to be more interested in what work he was doing, looking around at the sky than paying you much attention.
Turn to
Make a perception check, Danny.
Okay. That is 21.
You hear him mumbling about how the younger generation, how rude they are these days, as he walks off.
Sahara was standing there just contemplating. She was about to jump in politely and then just kind of like, no, let's see how this turns out.
As he's kind of mumbling,
engage
like,
the town.
Youth of today, they don't raise to have any respect or manners. So abrupt. And he trails off as he continues his trek across the courtyard.
She'll take that mental note and go up to Dione. Well, I think we need to have a little more of a slightly older approach, as they say, to these people, clearly.
I don't see anything wrong.
It's okay.
How do they know that I'm younger than them? We all age differently.
Visually, he looks... I'm probably 200 years older than him, but it's okay. He just looks slightly, as a human,
Shriveled.
decrepit.
It's a beard.
Anyway, tavern. We might get some answers there.
A softer approach
the
next
tavern.
time. Slightly softer approach. We might get some
Okay.
answers easier.
So, to the left, you do see a number of buildings. Down straight on the inside of the gate, as you go through, you have kind of what appears to be a kind of a bathhouse, like an open, almost like a Roman style, I guess, bathhouse. There seems to be not a lot of activity there at the moment, but you see kind of large troughs of water. You see kind of what appear to be steam rising from large stone basins. Seems suitable for a number of people. And backing onto that, you see to be a large smithy and stables that share the same space. There's a number of hitches of various sizes, various spacings, although nothing does seem to be hitched there at the moment. The smithy, likewise, seems well kept, well stocked, and you see a number of individuals discussing recent. You see them kind of crowding around a book and comparing it to an artifact or an item that has been recently crafted. You follow your eyesight to the right, and your eyes skim over a fairly plain-looking temple, where you see further iconography of the crest of Candlekeep. This ornate runic gold candle against the red background.
Rob, how many people are walking around right now? Like around us in this area?
What did you get in your perception? It was 19, wasn't it?
My perception?
When you made your last perception, was it 19?
I was the only one who did.
Oh,
was
sorry.
Danny.
Go on, Sarah.
Yeah.
Make a perception check for me.
One second. 12.
12. You probably count maybe a dozen or so. That's probably a 50-50 split between these purple-robed individuals and kind of plainclothes individuals.
And they're just walking around. Is there any kind of podium that I can kind of just hop on somewhere or something I could stand up on?
Not really. The
Around.
courtyard itself is just devoid of anything. There's no wells, there's no raised areas. It is flat as you want.
I see Sahar looking around, and I just kind of kneel down and let her get on my shoulders.
I was about to say either that or get everybody's attention. I'll plop on her shoulders.
And whoop, up you go.
Get up.
Yep.
And I'll just loudly clap. Attention! Everyone!
Make a persuasion check.
I
am not rolling good today. Damn it, I'm -1 in charisma. That'll be a 6.
A few people stop. A group of kind of adventuring types, a pair of dwarfs, what appears to be a gnome in various kind of this black leather gear, number of sheaths, and one of them carrying a crossbow slung over their shoulder, kind of looks over their shoulder, kind of rolls their eyes a little bit and carry on to their conversation. No one else.
Look down to Dione.
I cast Prestidigitation and just boom out like, listen up.
Make a persuasion check yourself.
I didn't have to roll for that. But okay.
Sweet.
Nice. That is a holy, so 22.
And at this point, the three leather-wearing individuals kind of stop their conversation and kind of turn around and look over, and you can see one of the white and dusky purple robed individuals on top of the tower kind of stops there and kind of looks down and kind of watches the situation, and a dragonborn, a brass-coloured dragonborn in purple robes, who was kind of nose buried into a book, kind of stops dead in their tracks and kind of like pivots 180 and looks over, and kind of these three separate groups of individuals all kind of look over at you. And
Good. I'll tap
When
you
I
on your
yelled
shoulder.
as well, so when I yelled, I kind of, because I always have a kind of a black aura around me, it kind of flashed red as I yelled, just for a bit of flavour.
make a just make a
With me
perception
just
check.
sitting on the shoulders. all
Make a
golden.
perception check for me, Deanie. For everyone make me a perception check.
What time of day is it?
At this point, probably about mid-afternoon, early evening.
18.
18. Anyone beating 18?
15.
Nat 20, so 24.
And that's 20. Okay.
15.
None of you notice except for Igraine. You notice out of the corner of your eye the white and kind of pinkish robed individual on the battlement. You see kind of them stop, and as they look over, you look down, and towards their fingertips you can see a number of red sparks that seem to be arcing and crackling between their fingertips as they kind of look down and just kind of keep an eye on what the flash of energy was down below.
And they're up on the battlements? Like up
Yes.
high up? Okay.
Yeah, they're about 50 foot high up on the battlements, and they just kind of
Okay.
stop looking down. You can see this energy arcing between their fingers, and you just catch it at the very corner of your eye. And then when you kind of, and they're still up there, just kind of looking down and watching.
I'm going to look at them without like taking my eyes off of them. I'm going to hold Irine's chin and just move her head up so she can see them as well and just stare at them.
I'm
At
gonna.
this-
I'm just gonna wander over to the bathhouse and start looking in the windows. And
At this point, I'm still sitting on Dione's shoulders and finally notice that people are catching tension.
You've got the
Good.
yeah. There's the gentleman up top is probably out of earshot, but certainly the trio of the dwarves
I'm
and
loud.
the gnome and the bronze dragonborn seem to have their attention, at least for now.
I'm going to keep looking at them, the person on the battlements, the entire time that they're speaking.
Good, dear folks. I have a request. If you could just oblige me. Humor me. I'm looking for... What was his name? Matreus. Does anybody know where he is? Anyone?
And you see the three adventuring types kind of scoff and continue walking across, and then you hear a voice behind you as the dragonborn pulls in close. Think you need to follow me, and let's make less of a scene, shall we? I don't know, Matreus. I'll be able to point you in the right direction at the very least.
And you are? Before I get off her shoulders, just asking from up high.
My name is Nax Olasus, one of the avowed here at the keep.
I'll tap Dione to put you down.
Yep.
And plop off. Well, then lead the way.
And he points over, and it might be a little bit more civil if your companion doesn't have their nose pressed up against the glass of the bathhouses. People may get the wrong impression.
No
Mal.
worries.
what?
Come here.
Okay. I just
Nope, come here.
can we have a bath
Nope.
later?
Nope, come on.
And
remember.
Nax
Later.
Nax probably stands not quite eye level with Igraine, but certainly in between Igraine and the rest of you. And for what appears to be an older, you can see the brass scales have kind of dulled with age. There's a few missing here and there, a little bit sort of rough in the tooth, and you can see these little tufts of grey hair behind the ears, interspersed with these kind of dark stained ivory spines down the back. And you can see the tail kind of swish out from beneath the robes, and he kind of a little bit of a hunch and kind of walks with a careful but considered approach, and they head towards the far right of the court there, towards the base of the pillars. And as they're walking with you, kind of over their shoulder, and says, "You'd be wise not to annoy the gate wardens or show signs of magic, however innocent it may seem. The guard here tend to be on edge due to the nature of what we keep here, and let's just say you don't want to be drawing unwanted confrontation within these grounds.
There was
all I did was
with magic on the battlements staring at us.
Your friend here made a little bit of a scene, and again, due to the nature of some of the artifacts and relics and forbidden tombs deep within, there are wards and incantations and
well, if your friends were a bit
measures.
more helpful to us, then I wouldn't have had to do that.
The wardens tend not to be the most helpful kind. They're more fireball first, questions later, if you catch my drift.
Well, we're of the same mindset then.
Fireball's a bit risky in a library.
That's probably something you may want to take up with them at some point, should you have the misfortune and meeting one closer.
I'll ask. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
I heard Dragonborn come from certain dragons, and I just wondered what kind of dragon you came from.
Yes, that's...
If that's not rude, sorry.
No, that's fine. I come from an ancestry of brass dragons, from
cool.
deep from the east, if I understand my ancestry. Never met one in the flesh, as it were.
Nice.
But
Thank you.
I share their blood in some aspects.
So, Matreus?
Yes, through here, I believe Matreus was studying. He came onto something, looking for there was a case of an absconded mage who studied here some time ago, who had a room booked here at the pillars, and I think there was some lingering magics, or the room hadn't been returned, and I think it was a case of just making sure it was safe for use. And Matreus is excellent in this field, as to make sure the rooms are safe before we return any more texts or would-be seekers to the room for further study. Can I inquire into why it is you're seeking him?
No.
Kind of looks across the rest of you. Any?
Something for a later discussion, perhaps. Can you show the way?
I'm just here to cook.
You may find more
We were asked.
civility if you work with those here for information you seek. We are in the business of giving information freely, as such a library gives, but we do
We
expect...
haven't really found that hospitality thus far. And the reason we're here to see Matreus is between us and Matreus.
Diane, Mr. Brass Dragon is helping us.
Very well. If your
Vaguely.
business is your own with him, then I guess that's yours. It's a little civility. Never went too far in these lands.
No, that's a bit of a private matter with him. If Matreus is willing to share that information with you, we'll let him do so, but it's not up to us.
Very well. Please, if you follow me. And he walks you through these kind of winding, and as all the bases of these different pillars of different sizes are all cylindrical, the paths are very weird shapes. They're very much square paths with kind of these circles and crescents and angles and arcs cut out of them. It means like seeing, you never really see that far ahead because a pillar's jutting out, and you turn a corner and the whole shift is very disorientating. You have to stay quite close to Nax to keep him in eyesight as he weaves and turns, kind of practice route through. Before too long, you are at the base of one of the more wider base towers, fairly average in height. It kind of sits in the middle of others, and all the windows here have kind of got this blue accent to them, like the glass all seems to be cut or processed from something that's given it a little bit of a blue tinge, and the light reflects off of it. You see a number of coastal birds all cresting on the top, kind of looking down at you. And he opens the door at the bottom and steps in. Please, come through this way.
Okay, they're following.
Irene kind of grabs Igrian's hand and is like, come on, let's go, come on.
I am dragged by a satyr.
You are in fact dragged.
Where
I'm
Mal
dragged
is.
by a 4'6" satyr, yeah.
Just watching where Mal is the whole time.
And you see Nax kind of look over a book on a desk, an unmanned desk, and he kind of slowly looks through a few of the previous pages and is like, Let me check. Verstandia. Ah, yes. Matthias is on the 7th floor at the very top. He's on the room on the right. He's just clearing Verstandia's old room. It seems her permission to study here has been revoked due to unlicensed magics, and I think it says here notes about messing around and trying to undo wards and adapting magics within the study rooms, which did not go down with the great readers, you see. But she hasn't been back for some time, so we employed Matthias in his work on more hostile magics, as it were, just to give the room a once-over and to refresh things and make sure the wards and protective spells in these buildings are back in place. Just to keep things safe, as you understand. The books here are of great value to us all.
So she was experimenting without permission?
We're not sure. I don't think experimenting is the right word. She was studying. You're familiar with the works of the great Mordenkainen?
Yes,
Perhaps.
ish. Am I?
And if you want to roll it in straight an Arcana check, you could find out.
Let's have a go. No. Nat 1.
15.
You've not even heard of the name.
30-20.
30-20.
10.
Are you proficient
15.
in Arcana?
I'm proficient, yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, cool. Those who rolled 15 or higher, you are aware of Mordenkainen being a very, very powerful sorcerer who has a number of taught widespread spells that take his namesake, the most famous of which is Mordenkainen's Magical Mansion, which is a spell used to create as it would suggest, a mansion in a pocket dimension on an extra plane to provide safe haven and respite and accommodation for those who can perform such arcane feats. And Nax continues. Yes, you have those familiar with the great Mordenkainen. She was studying his work on the mansion spells. We use extensively throughout the keep here. Many of the rooms at the inn use such magics to give us more space than what we have. And they've proven quite useful and very stable. It seems she wanted to study those further, and we saw no harm in it. So she rented a long-term stay here in the Pillars of Pedagogy. She studied hard day and night, and then she took her leave, and we expected her back. And 10 days passed, and the 10 day became further, and
Did anybody see her go?
Yes, the gate warden signed her out upon her leave, and it seems her coin ran out on the rent of the room, and we sent message for her, and she hasn't returned, and so, as per our usual processes, if somebody absconds or their coin runs out and their deposit is no longer purchasable for the room, the study, we clear their belongings out, put them in storage in the vaults, and it would seem that a few of the wards in the room were tampered with.
So she was studying these portals.
And with
These portals, if I may ask,
yes,
pretty much, well, the mansion can be made. Can the portals be somehow stretched to reach a different dimension somewhere where perhaps she shouldn't have gone?
I'm afraid such things, since theologies are beyond my station. It's not my area of expertise, I'm afraid. I don't like to dabble in more of the exotic arcane.
What do you study?
Myself, at the moment, I'm not studying physical travel, looking at arcane enhancements to physical items that prevent fatigue and allow people to travel great distances without the need for rest.
Like, magical legs?
Close. At the moment, we're looking at how to transfer the power drawn from the weave into things such as footwear or shoes for horses or the beasts of burden. We're making some headway, yes. It's exciting. We hope to have a breakthrough in the next year or so.
I once heard of like 21 League boots, and I always wondered how you stepped that far without hurting yourself.
Maybe once you've finished your meeting with Matreus, you can find me and we can discuss such things. We may have notes to share.
Sure, yes. That'd be awesome.
But
Seventh floor, you said, yes?
That's right, yes. If you take the staircase here up to the very top, you'll see 2 doors. It is the door on the right you are looking for. Traditionally, I may alert you to the within the pillars of pedagogy, there are silent spells enchanted within the rooms in order to facilitate silent study, and so you're not disturbed. It would seem that such enchantment has been removed from Verstandia's room, and I believe Matreus is just checking for any other hidden wards, traps, or curses before we reapply the spell for further patrons.
Is other magic okay? Are the rules okay on like lights and things to aid?
Small lights are fine. Any magic that invokes an open flame are suppressed within the halls. Again, books tend to be not too fond of a friend of open flame, especially some of the older ones. So no, any open flame magic will be suppressed. The only way in and out of the keep is through the way of the lion, through the iron gates that you entered with. I would stress for your safety and well-being, you don't try to leave through any other means. It can be rather unfortunate for you to do so.
Yeah.
Good to know. Well, thank you for bringing us here. Take our leave and head on up.
Well, I wish you all the best in your discussions with Matreus. He's a characterful fellow, very knowledgeable, very learned.
Thank you.
That's what we
Well, did I get a physical description of the person that I saw on the tower? Like, did I notice anything?
They appeared to be some element of elven origin, probably more human than elven, but a little bit of the height and sort of characteristics. You're not sure if it's a male or female. They seem to have hair pulled back into a braid going down the back. Other than that, it's 50 foot up the top of a wall. You were preoccupied with the energy they were controlling rather than their face at the time.
Yeah, no worries.
The Max steps back. He closes the book on the main desk. A pleasure meeting you all. May the study rooms provide you your knowledge you're seeking. And he bows his head and takes his leave.
Does the book have a title?
The book on the desk?
Yep.
Just doesn't have a written title on the book, no. It's currently closed.
Okay.
It just seems to be a fairly large, wide, black leather bound book with these kind of gold capster corner brackets on. Seems heavily used, seems rather dusty. Like, you can see the areas around and the desk itself are fairly dusty, and the book itself looks like it hasn't been moved in some time.
While we are heading up, if we're heading up right now, Sahar is going to keep an eye out on these potential traps that this person might have set around that Matreus is potentially disarming.
As you head up this staircase, and again, like, you've probably just got rid of a little bit of the calf cramp from the trek up the Lion's Way to the initial gatehouse, and then the less athletic ones amongst the group look up at this 7-story spiral stone staircase, and part of you probably dies inside a little bit. But
Anybody need a ride?
Should be okay. I cast dancing lights to follow us up just to test it.
Great, thanks. And Irene kind of holds her arms up in the air. Agreeing.
Pop her up.
I'm just gonna
But like grabby hands.
I'm just gonna lift Irene up and sort of carry her on my hip.
Like a little hip.
Yeah, it's really like carrying on a toddler.
as she's picked up, Irini just kind of grabs the green's face and just goes, "There's traps. I'll protect you." Just hold the face and just dead in the eyes, like, "I'll protect you. Nothing is going to hurt you. Okay." Okay.
The same for you, little one. And I'm gonna cast guidance on Irini as she's hyping me up and telling me that she's gonna protect me.
I look back. I believe it. Come, let's
So,
go.
Probably a fairly arduous few minutes pass. Those who... thank you very much, Sergeant of Wolves. Welcome aboard. Thank you for the follow. The rest of you travel up this staircase. It probably takes you a little bit longer than you maybe envisioned, and it just never seems to end. And you see a number of portraits, tapestries. None of the artwork or frames particularly matches. You see different stylistic choices, like clearly from different artists in different mediums. Everything from scenery to sprawling landscapes to epic naval battles to creatures you don't recognize. Thank you, Dice the Beholder, for the follow.
I'm gonna lag behind the group, looking at all the different artwork and just having a good look.
Make a perception check.
That one.
Okay, yep. It's nice artwork. It's well done. It's pretty. Look nice in your front. Look nice in your front room.
I'm gonna be like.
You have no idea what it's of, but it looks nice.
Does it happen to be a tastefully painted nude of a halfling, perchance?
Make
with
a perception
a
check.
pirate's hat.
Oh Jesus, that's a throwback. Make a perception check. I hope you roll high.
I think it's
Natural one.
You have guidance, so that becomes.
No, there isn't. You for a minute, you look, you get really excited. You're like, and you kind of, I don't know what the word is canter, a little bit insensitive for a satyr. You kind of bound up the last few steps to the top of the floor 7, and you're convinced for a second it might be something like that, but it turns out just to be a couple of goats in a field.
It's all abstract to me.
Irini kind of like pulls up her skirt a little bit, looks at her own legs, back at the painting, go, "Mine are better," and just wanders off.
It's fair. Fair. Yes, you eventually, the rest of you catch up with Irini. The distinct footsteps echoing just round the corner, and you pull yourselves up varying degrees of breathing heavy and a few choice words under your breath that, why the hell is on floor 7. And you see 2 doors in front of you, one to the far right and one to the far left.
Head right.
What's on to the far right? And before going in, again, keep an eye out for a trap on the door. I know somebody might be inside, but still.
In the trap the door? I can have a look for traps.
Let's take a quick look around just in case. You remember what the dragon board said?
I would like to look for any traps on the door, because Sahar looks very nervous.
Trust nothing.
Which door? Are you knocking at the door? Are you opening the door? Sorry.
I would like
Do
to
a check of the traps.
Check if the traps. Make an investigation check.
I'm rolling awesome. That would be with a +6, 11.
Okay. Mal kind of pulls a small pouch around on one of the many belts, and there's a little chink of glass. There's a couple of the bottles kind of glance off of each other, and you pull out a number of arcane tools and devices and reflective surfaces, and you spend a good few minutes kind of looking around the door, checking the handle, checking the door jamb. You're pretty satisfied. It's completely fine.
Sorry, I was going to nod to them.
Yeah, it seems
I'm
fine.
just- I was just going to barge past you and just open the door and walk in.
So as you're saying it's all fine, and as you were about to finish the sentence,
Just about to.
the large Asimar form of D&E just kind of moves you to the side gently, and then less gently slams the door open.
I said
Andreas?
subtly with the people here. They're quite on edge.
We're good, Dione.
You're good.
Well, never
You,
mind.
Matreus?
There is
Staying into the room.
the
Don't know if anyone's
room
in there.
is empty. The room is kind of a very angular half circle where the two corners are at the sharp point, and then the rest of the room spans out in the arc with three of these large blue tinged windows that makes the blue sky outside look much more deep and vivid than what it did from outside. You see a large hardwood mahogany desk against one corner with a large plush kind of velvet cushioned seat pushed against it with a number of bookcases. There are candles and lanterns around the room. There appears to be kind of like a couch pushed up against one door. There seems to be a small cabinet full of fresh fruit and drinks available. It is quite possibly the nicest study you've ever stepped foot in.
Oh, I feel like I should take my boots off.
As you step in, Danny, you can kind of your boots kind of sink, quarter inch into the carpet. It's very plush, and despite the warm temperature outside, as you step in, it's this kind of all like this. It feels like a breeze is blowing through. It's very pleasant, and it's a nice respite after the hike up the stairs. And you see there are papers, there are books. It seems to be a fairly well used study.
Stick maiden. Is he there?
Trace isn't here.
Sadly.
It's not there.
Try the other door. I'm going to look at the books and stuff in this room.
Are there any other doors in that room?
There are no other doors in the room that you're in. The only other door you've seen is back on the landing that was to the far left.
I'll turn to Dione. Just be careful. Remember what they said about the wards and whatever other possible traps might be around. You never know.
I'll
Now
keep an
we'll-
eye out.
And I'll go off to across the hall.
I'd stand in the middle of the room, kind of shifting on each foot, feeling each one sink into the carpet.
It's quite it's an oddly fun sensation. You could probably do that for a long time before it probably grew tiresome. It's quite nice.
And I will look around and see if I can spot any obvious traps without leaving that space.
Okay, make an investigation check. And Sahar, are you going to the other door on the left, was it?
I am going to go across, and this time I'll just kind of stand by. I'll knock a couple of times gently and try to hear if I can
You
hear any kind of noise inside.
As you knock on the door, it's a very, very, very weird disconnect. Your hand makes contact with wood. You feel the impact of the wood, but there is absolutely no sound.
No sound, that's right. All right.
It's just kind of a... And you're like, I felt it. That's weird. Like, it takes you a little bit to kind of realise, like, well, okay.
And then she remembers that
Brain
the
kinda
wards are
catches
still
up.
in place. Yeah. Thankfully, this one actually is intelligence. So.
What did you roll, Miss... what did you roll, Mal, please, on the investigation check?
23.
Okie dokie. So, you detecting traps, or is it just having a look around? Sorry, what was it you were trying to do?
Yeah, with Sahar still being a bit nervy with traps and stuff and what we were told, I'm looking for anything that could be a trap.
Sure. You have a look round. You glance round, you look up, and you see this wonderful decorative ceiling with impeccable carved woodwork. You see now the detailing of the desk, of the rugs and carpets beneath your feet, the papers strewn everywhere. Everything looks to be incredibly high quality, made with the finest craftsmanship, with fine woods, metals, materials. You don't spot anything that looks like it would pose you harm, or anything that looks like it's been trapped.
I think the only trap is this room is gorgeous.
I'm looking at books. I'm trying to see if there's
You
anything
hear
that
that?
could be of use for me.
Make an investigation check.
And in the meantime, I'm going to try to open the door and
Okay.
whatever kind of handle it is, and slowly see if I can get it.
17.
Okay, come back to you in a second, Danny. So, you open the door swings open silently, and you see a similar room with similar furnishings. This one appears to be unused. There are no papers on the desk. There is no... the water jug on the shelf appears empty. The glasses are turned down and appear to be unused. There is no fresh fruit. And the desk is void of anything.
All right. I'm just going to peer around untrustworthily just to see if there's any kind of random trapdoor or something.
Okay. And Danny, was you roll a 16, was that?
15. It's
15.
15, 16. No, it's 16.
You rolled it.
I'm pretty sure it was a 17.
Okay,
I was gonna
you
say, I'm-
It's 27. 27.
309. Why
Level
not?
are we?
Let's
Plus
go with it.
6.
You have a look around the room. Again, you kind of spot the same things Mal has, that the room is immaculate. All the materials are expertly crafted, made from the highest quality of materials. You dread to think the gold value of what a furnished room would cost. You
Okay.
spot under a few papers and scrawled notes that there does appear to be a more ornate, even by this room standard, book that appears on the desk. It appears to be open, and you can kind of see it peeking out under a bunch of torn papers and clutter.
I have a look at the book.
You may. It is a thick, heavy tome. Looks like it's heavily tooled leather decorative elements. You see gold inlays and filigree that frame a title across the front, the author at the bottom, and what appears to be a portrait on the front. You see a very luxurious silken bookmark that seems to be tucked in a few pages prior to the one it's open at.
What's the name of the book?
The book is called The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces, and the author at the bottom appears to be written by Mordenkainen.
Cool. I'm going to pop that in my bag.
Okay.
What was that, Dione?
Book. Could be useful.
Kind of book?
Seems to be that one that person who was in this room was studying about extradimensional spaces.
Okay.
Could be of use.
Not
I'm
about.
going to study it later.
Peony,
Yeah.
when you were doing your little scene with Sahar in the courtyard, I noticed a person up on the battlements. They had sort of sparking red fingertips. I don't know if it was Matreus, but they definitely took an interest in us, so much that their fingertips were sparking. And if it was Matreus, it is leading me to think that maybe they don't want to be found. If he knows that we're here. If it was him, I don't know if it is.
The person on top of the battlements, their vestiges and their robes are the same as that of a number of other individuals who were patrolling the battlements up at the top. You are probably safe to assume it's a member of the Gate Wardens. They wear the uniform of the Gate Wardens.
Oh, okay.
Given what we know about
Yeah.
Matreus, just given what we know about Matreus being a sage and being a specialist in curses on the lands, I doubt it was him. But good looking out.
Okay, so
Are there any
while
other books in the room?
there are some papers across the desk. There seems to be been bodily torn out of journals. There's a bunch of screwed up paperwork. There seems to be lots of notes and annotations.
And is there anything of note? So any good spells, anything that could indicate where that person went or Matreus is?
What languages do you speak, Deanie?
I speak Celestial, Common, Deep Speech, and Elvish.
Ah, excellent. You find that most of these journal pages are written in the very elegant flowing Elvish hand, in a very light calligraphy that is famous for the Elven language. It looks very pretty across the page. Someone who's very skilled and probably spends a lot of time in kind of an academic field or certainly a writing field. The notes, you read through them, you spend a few minutes looking through. You see a kind of a progression of study where Verstandia looks at how the Magnificent Mansion spell was originally developed by Mordenkainen, and how the notes from his book, she's uncovered a few areas of improvement for the spell. And then towards later, there's a few breakthroughs, a few areas to avoid, voicings of frustration, and there appears to be notes around a way of making the spell permanent rather than being a temporary pocket in space and time.
I take the notes.
At the base of the final piece you pick up, you see an Elvish that's in the margins that seems to have been added hastily after the fact in a different handwriting. It's still in Elvish, but it's much more crude. And it just says the word scepter. Sceptor. I think that's how you spell scepter, right?
It is now.
As in the scepter like you would hold in your hand. God, my spelling lets me down, doesn't it?
At this time, Sahara's going to walk right back to the group and kind of look at everybody to see what they're doing.
You walk from this artificial silence, and as you break back into the threshold of the hall, you can hear the birds chirping above, you can hear the footsteps in the next room and the shuffling of papers.
I'll walk into the room, just kind of look at everybody, what they're doing, and spot Dione. Just nod her head, kind of inquisitively, as in, got something?
Something that could be of use to me. So you know that person that had this room before? They were studying the extradimensional spaces. Well, I've got the book and then notes, and they seem to indicate something to do with a scepter.
As you say the word scepter, you see a shimmering blue and red come with helix of energy that up against the wall forms an arch up against the stone that shimmers once or twice as the two colours intertwine, and with a puff of sparks that kind of blast into the room, you can see a swirling archway around 6.5 feet tall up against the stone and the wall.
Oh.
I think we found where our friend might be.
Good that I asked what you're researching.
Very, very lucky indeed. So, shall we?
I am going to speak into a coin, just a copper coin. Hello, is there anyone in there? And I'm going to flick it in.
And the coin, as it hits the barrier, vanishes into the beyond.
How long do we wait? It's the first time I've done that.
How do you get the message?
I don't know. They throw it back, maybe?
You don't know.
Okay.
What is it
shall we?
you've done to the coin, Mel? Start of interest.
Magical tinkering. I've imbued it with my voice, basically. Saying, hello, anybody in there?
Does the voice project that, or would somebody have to pick it up?
The coin does project it up to a 6-second long message, and
there'll just be a coin like sitting on the floor wherever the heck it landed, and it'll just be their voice going, "Hello." Yeah.
So basically, on the other side, a coin will have landed, and then the coin would have copied your voice, basically.
Yep.
Okay. 2 seconds.
And we're all just waiting patiently, like, in silence, just for an answer.
Just 1 moment. So I check something.
See, I learnt to do that, but I never actually thought of people actually having to answer.
Okay. You see very, very briefly the coin enter back into the room. There's a fizzle of this purplish red energy, and then the coin tumbles to the floor at your feet.
Oh. Pick it back up. Anything? Just
What does that mean?
How'd you get the message out of it? What?
Well, I don't know if they can do the message thing.
Appears to be in the same condition as you sent it through.
It seems
Sorry, who said I'm going in?
Before that.
Whoa, no. Stop press. Somebody said the words, I'm going in. The rest of you can argue about this in a second.
Irini turns to Sahar and is like, this is not the first portal I've been through.
I know. Likewise. 1 second. Let me just test something out, if you may. Can I? Yes. I'll wait for Rainy to answer. Please.
Go on then. And kind of just
Turn
looks at her
Dione.
wrist. There's nothing on there, but she looks at her wrist.
So wink at her. Go ahead, Dione. Utter the words again. Let's see what happens.
Scepter.
Nothing happens.
Nothing.
The portal is in its place. It's fizzling. You see these little coloured sparks sending reflections of light across the room.
On the upside, we know if something that's thrown in can be returned, so we can get back.
Seems alright.
I'm going. And Irene goes talking.
As soon as she
And
starts walking, it
try to
brings
grab her.
her.
Yeah. I'll stumble in after them because I tried to grab her and it didn't help. She just zoomed by, and I'm walking straight in. Like,
I'm
come
not
on.
trying to stop her really. I'm just walking
Oh,
on her heels.
So,
I tried.
uh,
I tried. I was like, no.
Of all of you entering the portal.
Yes.
Going in, Dione.
Okay, so one by one, you all step into the purple light. It's a little bit weird. You lose which sense is up, and you lose the sense of direction, and you lose your sense of physical presence. It's almost for a second, you're almost like you're thinking about yourself, and then you kind of regain that sensation of having your presence again. And you find yourselves a little bit stumbled, a little bit crammed up, and as you bounce around and jostle together, you find yourselves all in kind of a bit of a heap on the floor of what appears to be a foyer and a hallway of a rather modest but still fairly sizable mansion.
Yeah.
Well, that answers that, and kind of slowly pushes people off.
And
her.
you see ceilings arching maybe 15 feet overhead, the long hallways stretching out either side of the foyer. And standing in the middle of this area, there seems to be a middle-aged man wearing grey robes, looking very shocked and very startled. And we
Atreus?
are going to take our break.
Oh, thank God, because I'm
Yay.
Okay. So, thank you very much to those who've jumped on board and followed on the first half of episode 1, part 1 of Candlekeep Mysteries, The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces. Hopefully you've enjoyed so far. Thank you for joining us at the Short Rest Tavern this fine Monday afternoon. We are going to take
evening.
It's afternoon.
It's 9 o'clock.
That's afternoon somewhere.
It's afternoon back home in Canada. It's fine.
There we go. Canadian
Acceptable.
afternoons. We're going to take a short 15-minute break. We are going to open up the chat to our giveaway, which, if I understand, I have not set this up. One of our lovely cast members has. I believe we have a keyword that you'll need to just type into the chat to be within a chance of winning a copy of Candlekeep Mysteries through our
Digital copy.
a digital copy of Candlekeep Mysteries through our friends at D&D Beyond. What's this week's word? There it is. So
We are keeping it nice and simple as giveaway.
So it's !giveaway. !giveaway, all lowercase. If you want to drop that into the chat, and then when we return in just a few minutes, we will announce the winner, and then we will contact you and email you out a redemption code on D&D Beyond for your copy of Candlekeep. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Thank you very much, guys and girls. Please stick with us. In about 15 minutes, we will pick up and continue part 2 of our adventure. Till then, guys, see you shortly.
Well, like 15.
BRB.
15. Verb.
Hello! Welcome back. Welcome back to the Short Rest Tavern, where we share stories, tell tales, and explore adventures through tabletop gaming and Dungeons and Dragons. You are joining us on the second half of episode 1, which is The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces, part 1, in our Candlekeep Mysteries campaign. Our giveaway has just finished. Thank you very much, and commiserations to those who unfortunately did not get the winning sign up. I was going to say winning number, but congratulations, Phoenix.
Who did not win?
2017. There is a digital copy of Candlekeep Mysteries available to yourself through our friends at D&D Beyond. if you can get in touch, and we will message you, and we will get an email address, and we will get that sent over. I'm sure one of our mods will be able to sort that out over the next minute or so.
I'll do it now.
Cool.
And if you didn't win, make sure you
Yep.
tune in next week for another chance to win a
So-
digital copy of Candlekeep Mysteries.
We have plenty of copies to go. We're going to be giving one away a week for the first portion of this campaign. So if you unfortunately didn't win this time, please check next Monday where you're in for a chance again to win more goodies through D&D Beyond. We are going to jump back in. So I've had a few people. Thank you, Pixie and Moore, and anyone else who has followed on the break. The chat has scrolled past, unfortunately, but thank you very much for anyone else who has followed during the break. Part 2, group of adventurers having made their way from Waterdeep on an assignment from the Lord's Alliance. They are looking for a sage by the name of Matreus, an expert in hexes, curses, who has been on a sabbatical. They've been studying at the Fortress Library of Candlekeep. And the Lord's Alliance want to be put back in contact with them in order to elicit the services. The group have made the couple of days' travel to Candlekeep Mysteries and have got their entry within to the Court of Air by handing over a book. The book being donated to the library, seemingly granting them entrance, where they met a number of individuals, had their first wide-eyed intake of the interior of the court, and met a dragonborn by the name of Nax, who guided them to the Pillars of Pedagogy, which is the last known area where Matreus was studying. They headed upstairs and found their way to a private study room, seemingly have been tampered by its previous occupant, where Matreus had been sent to investigate, make sure everything was safe for further use, and to replace the wards and protective magics in such an area. Thank you, Hey Charlie, and friends of. Thank you very much for jumping in. Hope you enjoy. So, we're going to jump back in. You guys entered into the private study room of Estandia, where Matreus was studying. You had a route around. Dini helped herself to a copy of The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces and pocketed it along with a lot of notes, where she seemed to be looking of a way to turn Mordenkainen's magical mansion spell into a permanent enchant. With mixed success. You read a word, scepter, written in the margins, and saw a portal burst to life in a shower of purple sparks on the far wall. And just before the break, you all dived in. And after a brief, uncomfortable journey through extradimensional travel, you find yourselves on the hard stone floor inside a mansion, where a middle-aged man wearing grey robes goes from startled to surprised to a little bit overjoyed at the recent arrivals. He kind of stands there. He kind of mouth agape, almost like shocked, open mouth, kind of lost for words as the colourful, various silks, armours, weapons, horns, hairs tumbles out into the
just
foyer.
piled, right?
Yeah, you've basically all been put in a bag, shook up, and dumped into a hallway.
Like, ow.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, like
Stand.
yeah,
slowly just plop people up.
Oh, am I glad to see you? It's been hours. You come from the library, right?
Are you Matreus?
Yeah,
Mr. Matreus?
yes, Matreus, yes. Oh, I've been wandering around here for hours. Is this everyone who's here? Is there any more of you?
Hold on, thought a second. What do you mean wandering around for hours? You can't get back?
No, is there anyone else here, or is it you? How did you get in here? What happened? Tell me.
How did you get in here?
I was checking the room. I found she was studying Mordenkainen's magic, and she'd written a word, and I read it out loud, and the portal sprung to life. It must be her keyword for the room.
Which word?
Scepter. It was
Oh, hell.
and the door opened, and it found my way in here, and after. Wait, is it just you? Is there anyone else? Does anyone know you're in here?
Well, they do know we're here. But they don't know we're in here. Essentially, we are still in the tower by their
They are
admission.
aware that you should be cleaning out that room.
How
That's where they sent us to
wait,
come
stop.
find
How,
you.
how long ago did you read the books? How long has it been?
A year.
We've only been in that room
Minute.
about a couple of minutes ago.
Oh, no. He runs past, dives, and as you guys follow him, you see the closing portal that you came through as a flurry of grey robes, grey hair, and panicked yells as the gentleman tumbles through as a puff of smoke sparks.
I grab him as he runs past us.
Make a grapple check. That'd be make a dexterity. Just make a straight dex check.
Straight dex. 21.
21. You grab him by the kind of tail end of his robes as he basically just Superman dives for this fading portal, and the portal closes around, and as you do, you're left with a slightly singed, smouldering 3 inches of grey fabric that just kind of hangs there, and you've got this smell of burning wool in your nostrils.
You better reopen that damn portal, or I'm going to be having some stern words with him when we meet again.
If we meet again.
When we meet again.
So because he said scepter again while he was in here a moment ago, clearly nothing was happening. But now that's closed. Scepter? And she'll look around. Scepter!
Hector,
I can't even snap my finger. It's too much grief.
You say scepter many times. Various clicking motions happen. And despite the impromptu jazz performance, nothing happens.
I go find a nearby desk or table and take out the book and notes.
There isn't
I'll
any
help her out.
desks as such.
Or just like a table or anything
Yeah,
like that.
there's a little side table. You're in quite a large foyer. Behind you, now that this purple light has vanished, you do see some double doors that look like entrance doors. It looks like you are just inside the entrance, and this long corridor stretches out to the right and to the left, about 40 feet in either direction, and you've got a door in front of you, and then corridor running out. You can see a number of doors within this corridor. There's a couple of side tables. The mansion itself is not extravagantly, but it's fairly plush. It's fairly nice. It's got not as grand as the study you're in. You get the feeling whoever created this mansion is a little bit more withheld in their decorative tastes, but it is well done. But it is a little bit less ostentatious, so we say. But no, there's some side tables if should you wish to use it as a bit of a study area.
Yep, so I'm going to pull out the notes and the book and try and see if there is a kind of returning phrase.
Shuffle with her because I speak Elvish.
Okay.
My people.
Make an investigation check either separately or one of you with advantage. I'll let you guys pick.
Investigation. What's yours?
You do not know. You can either
okay,
roll one with
I'll do it.
advantage.
I'll do the investigation then.
Okay.
Yep. With advantage. Yep.
Yep.
Yep,
And I'm presuming, being an elf, you speak Elvish.
Yep.
As do I.
17. 21.
21. Excellent. Okay, on a 21, you open up the book. This red, heavy, leather, tooled, gold filigree book with the face of Mordenkainen staring back from the cover, and you start thumbing through the pages. The book itself is written in common and goes into a level of extra-dimensional magics and transmutational magics and enchantment that goes over your head for the most part. But in the margins, and there's areas underlined, there are areas highlighted, there's elvish annotations throughout the book. Towards the end, the last few pages, the book itself discusses the separations between the planes and how the biggest challenge he had when designing the magical mansion spell was its stability and its long-term stability, and that the longer that the mansion exists within the plane, the more unstable it gets and harder it gets to maintain at the doorway. And that his areas of study over years was to try and make it last longer, keep it more accessible, but he never solved it. And the longer he tried to maintain the mansion spell, before too long, the portals only stayed open for a fraction of time.
What about the notes?
The notes that you had from Verstandia, they kind of have their own thoughts about it. There's a lot of theory, magical theory around kind of the step-by-step process, and there's flowcharts of the process Mordenkainen used to create the spell. Started out as a small hut and then over time got more extravagant and allowed the caster to exert their will over the space that they created, that it would take on the aspects of their personality and would change and shift to the requirements. There could even be creatures, servants, animals that exist healthily and happily within the confines for extended periods of time. The last page of notes, one of her biggest frustrations was similar to what Mordenkainen noted, that the instability and the fact she found a way of creating a permanent magical mansion spell, but the problem was the instability of the portals, and that portal had to keep being recreated to gain entry, and that while a portal exit could be maintained, it was often separate and not connected to the entry point, and she was working on ways to connect the two for convenience.
You see what it says here? Is it possible the exit is just somewhere else in here?
Yes, I'm guessing that's what that Twazik was looking for when he said he was running around, but he seems to be a few turnips short of a bushel. So I think we should have a look around, maybe search to see if we can find an exit portal, because she must have built one into this place.
Has to be. When we read over the notes, did any words kind of stand out, like Scepter had something specific? Nothing?
The only word, everything is written within the lines, all very neat and cursive. You notice that the word scepter was written in Elvish, but in a different hand, a little bit more crude, and it was kind of sideways in the margin. That appears to be the only word written in such a way. It's
right,
pretty safe.
Let's go look around and see.
It's a fair assumption that was written by somebody else as an after the fact.
Yep. So I think we have to have a look around, see if there's any kind of scepters on the wall or anything like that. Anything that could lead to a second code word or something.
So
Find
just
any
so you
books or
guys,
anything of note.
like I say, as you guys kind of look around and get your bearings, the ceilings do arch 15 feet overhead, and they kind of go past this, neutral walls, stone walls that then arc into the top, and there seems to be wood paneling in the top third of the room, and then form this kind of dome ceiling. You're currently stood with the double doors behind you, which form the entrance. You're kind of in like an entrance foyer, and the hallway stretches out maybe 30, 40 feet in either direction, with a number of closed doors on either side.
Any windows around?
You see behind you, within the glass of the doors, if you wanted to take a closer look.
Yes. See what's outside this mansion.
Make a perception check. 12. You approach the window and you kind of look through, and just your senses of just an onslaught of this just swirling, constantly changing, shifting miasma. Purples change into oranges, which then change into greens, which then change back into blues and back through to purples, faster, slower, with like arcing energy between it. It's both impossibly close and far in the distance at the same time, and the more you look at it, the more just confusing, and it kind of escapes your ability to grasp its nature. But it's just this endless expanse of impossible geometry, color, and light movement.
Let's turn back to the group. That'll be a no outside, and let's carry on. And she'll turn to look at Irini and Mal. Please stay close. Don't touch anything.
This place is cool.
It is. Well, let's try to also not stay here permanently.
Okay.
May not
Yeah.
touch anything.
Don't touch anything.
My girlfriend.
What if
Don't
moving things
touch
is the way out?
anything.
Like the secret book. Have we ever tried doing that?
Irini, don't touch anything.
The last thing we want is for one of you to just magically disappear somewhere off that we can't grab you. Just everybody stay close. Start looking around.
Okay.
Like
Irini,
Dione
if you
said.
need to touch something, touch a grain.
So,
Do that anyway. Like,
Just gonna hold out my hand.
So
for her.
as you kind of start spreading out and moving around, you can hear the echoing footsteps of hooves, boots, and shoes across the hardwood floor. The furniture is like a deep stained wood. Not all of it matches, but it's all kind of this tasteful, subtle, luxurious, and expense. You've got brass or bronze fixtures, and the doors are kind of iron bound. Yeah, it's nice. You see about 15-20 feet ahead of you, where the foyer extends into the hallway proper, you have this patterned, ornate rug that travels the length of the hallway, maybe 20-30 feet in length, tasseled at either end. The
If anybody sees anything, just
left or
give a
right,
holler.
the left and right of this corridor extend. You do see a number of doors. And on these doors, you see, from where your position is in the doorway, directly opposite you seems to be a door. There seems to be 2 other rooms to your left, 2 other rooms to your right, and a door at either extreme end of the corridor, which beyond you can see a similar churning light and churning energy as it leads to either an outdoor area or windows to the outside world.
door each.
Wouldn't be a harm, just if it looks weird. Don't walk through, I'll try to go through it once. Door each? Sounds
Yeah.
like a good idea.
I'll head down to the end of the corridor.
Left or right?
The swirly light bit.
That's left and right.
Right.
Okay.
Or Dione.
So Dione's armor clinks as the darkened form heads off down the corridor, and then the click, click, click of boots disappears and becomes muffled as you step onto the rug and continue towards the end of the corridor.
I followed Dione down that corridor.
Okay.
Follow suit as well and just check any
On
other
that
door
corridor,
after.
as you two pass, you do pass a staircase that extends to an upper floor. Within that right-hand portion of the corridor, there is a staircase leading up. There are 2 doors heading into rooms, and then you find yourself at the end of the corridor. At the end of the corridor is a door that spreads out into what appears to be almost like a greenhouse, arboretum style area. Beyond the door, you can see rows of shrubs and plants, and the entire far wall is this ornate, like leaded glass, which beyond that is the swirling, colour-shifting world beyond, but it's kind of this garden centre-esque feel to it. And then there's the 2 doors that you can't see through, don't have any glass in them, just 2 solid oak doors that you've passed to get to that place.
Are any of you taking the doors?
I was taking the one on the right.
Okay, so
So then there's one in the middle. There's 3 doors, right?
yes, there's 3 doors.
Okay,
There's one that leads
I'll-
to this greenhouse area, and there are 2 closed
Yeah.
doors.
Should
I'm
we
going
not stay together rather than opening a door each at the same time? That seems a little bit stupid. Can we not do one door like all together, just in case there's not something nice on the other side? There's a portal,
We can open the doors. We don't have to go through it.
Just open them up
Oh,
and
but that doesn't
all
stop
once.
anything else coming out of it.
Well, if
She
he
has legs.
survived this long, how many hours was he in here? Did he say? I don't remember.
Several.
days.
He must have checked everything.
Either
So let's see what he hasn't.
Himself for his stupidity / his intelligence, which didn't seem high, if I'm honest.
So we have the door leading to the greenhouse and 2 closed doors. Door number 1, door number 2, and then door number 3 leading out to the greenhouse. You have then the left-hand side of the corridor, should you wish to return that way, and the staircase leading up a floor. Which door would you like to approach, and what would you like to do?
I'd like to open the right-hand door.
Right-hand door.
The closed one, not the greenhouse one.
Okay. So you stand in between the other closed door and the greenhouse on your right. There's a door directly in front of you. Your hand goes to the handle. You turn the brass doorknob. There's a click, and the door. It's heavy, but it's well fitted. There's no drag. There's no squeak, and it swings open.
From where I'm standing in the corridor, I just look into the room.
Okay. Large windows form the entirety of one wall, and they appear to cast a view out into the Arboretum greenhouse area that you saw from the other end. Within this room, it appears to be a dining room. There are a crystal chandelier hanging above a table made of dark wood, with 6 matching chairs with scarlet cushions that surround the table. A 7th chair sits alone up against the wall.
Anything?
I just call down. It appears to be a weird dining room.
Any scepters on the wall?
Not that I can see. I can see a bunch of windows, 6 chairs around a table, and 1 off to the side.
Make if you want to have a closer look, or you may make an investigation check if you'd like a closer look.
Okie doke, I shall. And that is unholy. Okay.
So a dirty 20, you see the room's adorned with tapestries. They seem unremarkable, they look almost generic, if you like, of wineries and grapevines. It seems to be, you've seen similar in kind of guest rooms and things that don't really have any significance. It's almost like they've just been put there for the sake of brightening the room up. You do spot the chairs. Something catches you a little bit odd. You notice that within the chairs, the chair in the corner and 5 of the chairs around the table have these crimson red cushions. The chair at the head of the table appears to be a blue cushion.
I go and look at the blue cushion chair.
Okay.
A little closer.
Okay.
I want to follow her, and I want to look specifically for
you get
either...
close. You look. The chair seems identical to the rest of the ones in the room, other than that the velvet upholstery is blue rather than red.
I'm going to step back about... How big's the room?
The room itself... one moment. The room itself is about 15 feet by about 30 feet. It's kind of rectangle. The table itself is quite a long... You've got a chair at either end, and 2 chairs in the middle.
Cool. I'm going to step about 15 foot away from that chair with it still in my eye line, and I'm going to shoot a crossbow bolt at it.
Okay, you pull out a crossbow. You level it at the chair. Make me an attack roll, please.
I would like to do something when she fails.
What would you like to do, Mal?
Holy, so 24.
That crit?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Mal? Sorry?
As the ball hits the chair, I'd like to cast Minor Illusion of a blood splatter.
Where are you? Is it from behind the chair?
Kind of just around where the bolt, I think, would hit.
Okay. So you fire... Roll damage for me, just because.
8,
The small
12, 14.
14. Okay. You fire the crossbow bolt, which strikes the chair. You see a spray of this weird dark green ichorous fluid hit the wall behind, next to a red spray of blood behind. As the chair shifts, moves, climbs forward, you see the bases of the legs start elongating into these wicked looking claws. The back of the chair arcs forward as these long 1.5 to 2 inch long teeth start forming from the gap between the cushions and the wood. And I need you to roll initiative.
Oh shit, the red was me.
Freaking mimics!
Knew it was a mimic.
gonna be a house full of mimics.
18.
Right, hang on.
Damn it.
Let me ask in order because I haven't got my apple.
The red was me, not the green.
Terrible.
It's live.
Why did you do that, Mal?
25 to 20.
I thought it was
Kind of good they did.
25 to 20. Anyone?
No.
It's 20 to 15.
18.
17.
18 for D&E. So what was that, Igraine?
17.
17 for Igraine. 10 to 15.
10.
11.
11 for Irene. 10 for Sahar. 5 to 10.
9.
9 for Mal.
The campaign changes, but not much else to do.
Okay. D&E, what's your dex modifier, please?
+2.
Okay, can you just roll me a straight dex check for me, please? Because your initiative is tied and we want to see what acts first.
10.
18. So, as your arrow sinks in and this green ichorous fluid sprays across the wall back, as the bolt hits absolutely solid, and not only does it embed through the chair, rather than wooden splinters, you see kind of flesh, and then the bolt embeds itself a good couple of inches into the stone wall behind. The chair is going to start dragging itself. You have that horrible sound of claw scraping on stone as it pulls itself up next to you. And where one of the arms of the chair elongates itself out into this brown, kind of like scaly limb, which is going to whip out and hit you. What's your AC?
It's your roll. 13.
Okay. It hits you, it lashes out, and as you're kind of reeling your crossbow and you're quickly trying to stow your crossbow and pull something more suitable out, this smashes you in the face. And it's going to hit you for 5 points of bludgeoning damage.
Cool. Hellish Rebuke.
Yep.
So let me just check that. That is deck save of 12.
That's a nat 1.
So what's that mean
Sweet.
for this? Sorry.
Hellish Rebuke, you tell me. You're the tiefling.
No, for like a crit fail. Does that double it?
No.
No. Okay, cool.
No, you just get the good old generic slap.
Okay, that is 16 points of fire damage.
Okay, fair enough. Give me a moment. 16 is that? Okay, so as this creature swings out, as this limb hits you, you feel a series of strange sensations as it binds onto you. You are considered grappled. But the burst of dark, blackened flames kick out across you, and it does start. You can see singes. You can see parts of where this kind of wooden exterior start flaking off. They burst into flame. Oh, I think we've just lost cameras.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
They can still hear us though.
2 seconds, guys. Please desist.
Someone just cast darkness. That's all.
Okay, we've lost cameras. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch over to a screen where we can drop all the cameras on. So one moment.
Oh. We need to hum the giraffe before the raptor like comes at you when you open the door.
It does sound like that.
It's quite interesting to see because like you see two tougher heads, two Tony.
We are everywhere.
Just so you guys have a
I'm
visual.
nowhere.
So we have a visual of your face. No one wants to see that.
All right. For now, guys, you're just gonna have to live with the fact we've got a camera up there. You've got the feed, so you should at least be able to see the feeds. Do apologise about that. We'll sort that. Okay. So I'm just gonna make sure.
Rob can only see you. Yeah.
It stopped for me at the minute.
Yep.
Well,
'cause
it's the first show.
There we go.
Something had
You'll
to
have
have
to-
gone wrong.
You'll live with
But,
that for
you know,
today, guys. That is what you've got.
Sweet. At least
Sorry
from
about that.
here.
Okay, so yeah, this creature smacks into you. You feel yourself bound by it. The dark and black flames kick out, and you see the wooden kind of skin it sheds kind of burst into flames around it, and it lets out a kind of this screeching yell as it clearly does not like tieflings exploding with fire. Okay. D&E.
Was it my go now?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, let me just. Eldritch Blast.
You are at disadvantage because you are in melee and grappled.
That's fine. I rolled the same twice, so 18.
18. Is that disadvantage, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect, yep.
Sweet.
You kind of normally are used to kind of judging distance and aiming it. At this, you just kind of let it go the second the spell manifests within your hand. And this kind of dark, almost if like this blackened soot-wreathed flame just smashes into it. And you feel the backdraft of the energy for being so close. Roll damage.
8.
8. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, what is the HP of this thing?
Igraine.
I am assuming I haven't entered the room yet. Would that be right to assume?
Say again, sorry?
I'm assuming I haven't entered the room yet.
You're in the doorway.
Yeah. So I am just going to walk straight up to it and smack it with a hammer.
You stride in, this hulking
Yeah.
6'4" Goliath, the symbol of Tempest, clattering on the chain around your neck. You pull the weapons from your belt and just storm into the room up next to D&E. And you can see D&E pulling against this kind of brown scales limb that seems to have adhered itself to her arm as she's desperately trying to pull free.
One-handed. I've got my shield out.
Yep, roll to hit.
16.
That'll hit. Roll some damage.
9.
9 points of damage, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. You step in, and as Dini, you pull back, and you can see this kind of limb beginning to start engulfing and wrapping your arm. And as you pull back, you just see this imposing force of just the stern-looking Igraine just kind of backhand this thing with the hammer, and you just hear the snapping of ligament and bone beneath as there's this kind of gargled pain screech as it just kind of folds in on itself and falls down within itself, and you see the remaining parts of the appearance of the chair with the cushion and the wood just kind of fade into this mass of brown flesh as it stops moving.
Thank you.
You are out of initiative. You
That's what we're waiting for.
you have a pretty you're probably gonna have a bruise in the morning, D&E, where this thing slammed into you.
I'm going to cast Healing Hands on myself. So I got 1 hit point.
Hey, Jenny, how are you feeling?
A little bit sore on my arm.
You can see just like you can see like a scuff mark on the leather plate that they have where the attack's kind of bashed into them a little bit and left a little bit of a mark.
I didn't even make it there. I was just yelling, "What happened?" Like down the hall.
Mimic.
What?
Chair.
Here.
Well, we don't know where here is, so
But-
it's perfectly logical.
I'm going to assume that's not the last one we're going to encounter in this place.
Yeah, keep your eyes open. Anything that doesn't seem to match the furnishings may be of suspect.
So Other than the stain of ichor and blood on the floor after your brief interaction, the halls grow quiet once more. The time
I
is your
turn
own.
to Mal and just ask, so, you did the red, not the green? You did the red, not the green. You yelled that as I was being attacked.
Yeah, sorry.
Why did you do red?
I thought it'd be funny.
No.
That's for a pup. We'll
I'm
leave
sorry.
that for.
We are in an unknown place with unknown entities. Case in point, this mimic on the floor that is now dead, that I was in the middle of trying to deal with.
Make a intelligence check for me, Deanie.
Intelligence. Straight intelligence, yeah?
Yes, please.
16.
Okay, yeah. You know it's a mimic. That's fine. As you were.
So this mimic, which is on the floor, this place could be riddled with them. This is not the time or place for jokes.
Okay.
Understood?
Understood.
Okay. Let us continue.
Dione, before you go, Irini kind of holds her hands out and is like, do you need some healing?
I gave her my hands. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna cast healing word, please. That's not one.
Okay, roll it. As
4 points of healing.
you feel kind of the hands of Irini heat up. It's like it's a pleasant heat. And then that heat passes through and you can feel it spreading out through your body. And while the impact is still there and you certainly feel the where it hit and it's probably still going to leave a bruise, it's immediate relief and you can feel, you know, the ache disappears and the muscle loosens up. It doesn't feel as tight.
Thank you, Iniri.
You're welcome. She just gives her like a big beaming smile and
There's no smile back.
Sahara's gonna walk by and just pat Irini on the shoulder and kind of wink at her and walk into the room where Dione is and look around real quick. Anybody seen any chalices or crown-like objects around here, like a decoration?
Why?
Scepter, chalice.
Oh, like an
Crown.
orb or something as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out, I suppose.
While you guys are investigating, I'm just going to revert us back to our previous camera setup as I believe I've fixed the problem.
While they're looking around, I'm going to turn to Mal and go, I thought it was funny.
I don't.
I just thought it was a chair.
I mean, we all did. And honestly, I think her face would break if she cracked a smile, so don't worry about it.
I have just show no one stoicness like I'm fine.
Yeah.
Nothing around that looks like anything that might belong to Scepter. Any gems or
Roll
at this point
a
anything.
investigation check for the room as you begin scavenging around and seeing what your elven eyes see.
I would like to help by looking under the cushions and moving the other chairs, kicking them before I move them.
Roll, no. Lots of initiatives.
Wait, if somebody's helping me, do I roll with advantage again?
Yeah, roll with advantage as
okay, well,
Mal
this was
starts
good anyway, so-
moving chairs around and cushions go flying in the air and people are looking underneath.
14.
14. Excellent.
Oh.
You have a look around. You kind of step around the now kind of leaking corpse of this shape-shifting creature as this kind of almost sour smell starts emanating out from it as it kind of decomposes at an accelerated rate. You do have a look around, and other than some fairly nice silverware around the table, suitable for a service of 6, there's not a lot in the room that isn't there just for more display purposes. You get the feeling the room was set for guests, but hasn't really got anything functional, and it hasn't been used for some time.
And what the decomposing mimic is their blood acidic? Is it even considered blood, the green ichor?
You don't really. It doesn't appear to be eating through the floor or biting
Okay.
into the wood on the walls, but
Just acrid
it's just
smell.
yeah, it's this unpleasant
I'm gonna, like, just-
blob of flesh and putricity.
I'm just gonna kind of kick it, see if there's anything. If it's swallowed anything, I doubt it. But if it's just decomposing, I don't see anything
Just this
around its body, right?
Wet, slapping squish noise as you just kick it, and there's just like this green, stringy slime that kind of sticks to your boot as you
If
pull your
it's-
foot back.
Let's. Now she's thinking that maybe this whole entire house is a bit of an issue. Well,
I
she'll
would
keep that to herself for the time being and just go. Maybe we should go door to door, group with group,
I
not
would
one
like
by one.
Sounds like a great idea, Sahar.
No, one by one. And again, nobody touch anything.
No one
look-
tried to make silly jokes either.
So
That's
within
good.
this room that you're in, there is a door. You can see this full length window that goes out to the arboretum area, and there is another door within this room. The door within this room is pretty safe to assume joins to the other unopened door that you didn't open in the corridor. It seems to access it from the other side. Now that you can see through this full length window, you look out and you see flowering shrubs, a few small trees that are growing in between these paved paths that meet in this quite nicely decorated, again, semicircular patio, and kind of someone who's pretty handy with gardening, it seems. There's a few exotic looking flowers. There doesn't appear to be any, you don't see the sun, there's no sunlight or anything. You just have this swirling mixture of colour and shapes beyond the greenhouse walls. But you do see two glowing globes that hang above the plants, bathing them in light. And there's just colourful blossom all around.
Glowing globes? What?
Yes,
Did I hear that right?
yes, like glowing orbs.
Sorry.
Like just like
I was just
suspended.
typing something, yeah.
It's like the suspended orbs that are casting light out within the greenhouse area.
I've got nothing that I could pretty much
after the
Arcana. Would it be Arcana that I use to test for any kind of like?
Yeah, if you wanted to kind of see if you recognise them or try and devise
Yeah.
their origin, yeah, make me an Arcana check.
I walk out and see what she's doing.
Okay, you see kind of Celine looking up through the window and like goes up to the glass and looks up, and you can see these two hovering spheres of light. Would you roll, Sahar?
Really low. I can't use advantage here because it's not a fiend or whatever. 4, 5, 6.
6. You get the feeling they're magical in nature. They don't appear to be sentient. Other than that, you're not quite sure what to make of them.
Do you have any idea what they are?
Nothing.
Are you
Just-
sure? Do you want me to have a look?
I can tell. If you can, please do.
Okay,
And I'll just let her and I'll waltz around and look at the plants and stuff and just out
I'm
of
gonna have a
curiosity.
look then.
Okay, make me an Arcana check.
19.
You recognise them as fairly uncommon items known as drift globes, which are these glass enchanted items which can be used to eliminate day or daylight. What was your total roll, sorry?
19.
19. On a 19, you are aware that they usually need a activation, whether it's a command word or a gesture that illuminates them, and that they need to recharge and they can't be used indefinitely. And that the ones you've come across previously last about 6-7 hours without intervention.
I call over to her. So, these things are a bit weird. They're, I think they're drift globes. They create light and they last for 6 to 7 hours. So, before they need recharging. So, there must be someone here who set them off because, like, they're still glowing quite well. So, someone must have turned them on, allowed them to recharge, that kind of thing. So, we should be able to find someone, I think, here, unless that Twazak did it, which I highly doubt.
Well, if he's
Or
been
it's
longer than that, they would have already
something.
ran out. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that's around keeping this active.
Mm.
Can we
Like, is
take-
it motion detection or is it touch?
Well, they need to be activated by either a gesture or a
Thank
phrase.
you very much, Oscar Whiskey, for the follow. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. So they seem to be on before we came in this room. So unless that fellow was in here running around, we don't know what activated them, when they were activated, or how they were activated.
If we know the length, we can just keep an eye on them and see when they phase out, and we can kind of figure out from there
So while you're having this
who might have
discussion,
activated them.
you are still in this dining room. You have a door leading from the dining room into the adjoining room, a door in the corridor that also leads into the same adjoining room, back into the main corridor, a door leading out to the Arboretum, or you can return down the corridor and explore some of the doors to the left of the main entrance.
I'd like to examine the adjoining door.
Okay, it appears to be a simple dividing door made of a little bit simpler wood. It doesn't have the same ironwork that the previous ones do, and it doesn't appear to be locked.
Let's peek in.
Okay, you open the door, it creaks open. It's a very odd few seconds. The second you open the door, the aromas of cooking permeate through a kitchen. It smells spiced and hearty, and immediately Irene's ears, horns, hooves kind of prick up and like food. There's a large iron stove that takes up a huge amount of the far wall. The rest of the room is lined with large tables, racks lined with pots, pans, cooking utensils, and everything is absolutely sparkling clean and well maintained. With a flapping of wings, you see two small forms land on a table. They're about 1.5 feet, 2 foot in height. They seem to be made of this, almost look like they're made of clay or earth. And they both take a step forward. They bow low below you and ask, "How may we be of help to our honoured guests? Cooking, cleaning, mending your clothes, perhaps?"
Me? Do you know the way out?
I'm afraid I do not. No, we are servants to this place. It is our job to cook, clean, serve the masters. Is there anything you may ask of us? Soup, perhaps?
I will just mention the cameras have switched on Sahar and Aniri.
Yeah, that was me. My internet just completely dropped off. Been having issues here for a few days.
But you can just click and drag on Zoom to rearrange people.
I'm
I
sorting
just
it.
learned that fact.
Oh, we can. Oh.
I'm sorting it, don't worry.
Do you have pie?
I'm just... It's fresh off the stove. The bread will be done shortly. Please, we've no one to serve for some time, and there's so much soup gone to waste.
A bowl of soup, then?
Yes, please. And you see these two creatures kind of take flight and start busying themselves, pulling pots and pans, and they start getting a tray of what appears to be butter out, and they start opening up rolls, and they start placing out soup bowls, bread bowls, and setting a full table for 5.
Guys, there's some. Do I know what they are? Can I tell what the creatures are?
Make a intelligence check.
Just straight intel.
Yes, please. No, sorry. Make a wisdom check.
Wisdom check.
Irene being around all this food and in this kitchen and stuff like that is very suspicious. Because she knows that obviously her cooking is a lot better. But
it smells
there's
pretty
something
damn
wrong
good.
here.
Wisdom check would be a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. You being of a skillful crafting type yourself, Mal, you recognize these beings as homunculi, creatures that are created usually by scholars or people with access to expensive reagents and the means of enchanting them and doing so to act as either familiars or servants or assistants. and that they are imbued with a sense of their creator's power.
Seen them before back home. I'm going to close the door a little and turn back to the rest. Guys, we've got some homunculi in here. They're making us soup and bread.
To just be
What
a minute.
is the soup made of?
Not checked or asked yet. I want it Thai, but they're making soup.
Why are they making a soup?
It's what they do. They live to serve. They're
Who are they serving?
guests, visitors.
Are they not?
They called us honoured guests or something like that.
Did they know we were coming, or have they?
They said they haven't served anyone for quite a while, so I don't think anyone's been here for a bit except for Mr. I think Leona calls him a Twazak. I don't know what one of them is.
Can you ask who the last person they served was?
I just told them to get us some soup just to give them something to do while we...
Hello? Hello? And you can hear a rapping of the wood of the door you closed. Are you still there?
Yeah? I'll open the door.
And they come in and they start trying to kind of... Any of you are wearing kind of jackets or outerwear, they kind of start trying to take off coats. They start sort of trying to... If you get anything in your hands, they try and take your weapons things, and they start guiding you towards this kind of kitchen table and pull the chairs out and please, things must be heavy. Let us take these for you, and please make yourselves at home. And
if one tries to take any of my clothes or anything off me, I'm going to punch it.
Guys, you don't need to take the clothes. The soup's fine. What kind of soup is it?
It's fresh pumpkin. It's mixed with roast peppers, fresh herbs from the garden.
Oh.
When I was
I
off,
was watching Rini's face there. It was hilarious.
Pumpkin, the vegetable, not the bard. just to put that one out there.
Rob, question for the DM. When I've lost connection for a full minute, do we know what these creatures are, or we just find them?
The homunculi, I know what they are. I've just
You know what they are? Okay.
told the group, so...
They're basically crafted artificial beings that are usually created from earth and clay, imbued with the blood of a wizard to an extra pair of hands or a servant.
Okay. No need to investigate.
I sit down at the table and...
Please, it's been some time. You must be tired. It's almost dinner time. Please sit.
Who made you?
Well, I was made by Festandia, and Karand over there was made by Freyot.
Where are they now?
I've not seen the masters for some time. It's I don't know how long it's been. We've been making soup as per the evening's routine, and they never showed up. But so we just kept preparing and getting it ready for when they return. But
How long have you been making soup?
It's so nice to have people here again. Please sit, eat.
How long have you been eating soup?
We don't eat. We don't need to eat. It's just for guests. It's just for the masters. We can exist without such things.
So how long have you been making it?
I'm not sure. It's difficult. You see,
Well, you make the soup daily, don't you?
Every day about 4:00. Yes, we make
So
it
how
as
many
per our orders.
soups have you made? Do you remember?
I don't know how many soups,
10,
but
20, 30?
Just one moment, and you see them. The wings kind of take flight, and they carry them to the adjoining. There's a door at the back of the room. Looks like a pantry area, and the door is open, and the creature flies through. They look up and down, and they fly back and land delicately on the table. This will mark the 322nd pumpkin we've used.
Oh.
And do you only make pumpkin soup?
Yeah, that was that was the last orders. Yes, they requested pumpkin and roast red peppers, and that's what we prepared, and we will continue to do so until the orders change. That's our purpose.
Can I tell if the pumpkin soup is okay?
Make an investigation check. There are 5 steaming bowls of soup with bread on the table.
I am pointedly ignoring it.
It's a 16.
I figured so. I just wanted to check. On a 16, you look, smells fantastic, looks well dressed, it looks well presented. Looks just like good food.
I dip my little finger in it and lick it.
It's hot, and it tastes fantastic.
Oh!
Look, my finger's gone. Yeah.
The soup opens up, and
It's a mimic.
mimic soup.
I'm gonna dig in. I'm gonna have a roll. Have the soup.
Yeah, it is pretty darn good. I mean, granted, they've had 300 times to perfect a recipe, but even by that standard, it is pretty good. The bread is fresh. It is crisp on the outside, soft and fluffy on the inside. The soup has just the right amount of spice. It is warming. It is filling. Goes down a treat.
Where do you get the ingredients to make this soup? Where are they from?
Irini kind of wanders over to the pantry.
I have one eye on Irini.
Pumpkins come from we get the vegetables from the pantry. The spices from the cupboard.
So you had 300 pumpkins in the pantry.
We have as many pumpkins as we need in the pantry, such as the nature of this space.
Can you show me where you get the pumpkins?
Certainly. Follow me. Flies over and lands by the door. Right this way. Opens the door.
Yeah, I'll follow them in.
Yeah. It is floor to ceiling with pumpkins and peppers. Like hundreds of both.
How do these not go off? How do they stay? I know pumpkins last a while, but peppers don't tend to last more than a couple of days.
This mansion is created out of space and time, and it is pulled from the weave itself. The mansion takes the needs of those who create it. We have all the amenities that we could require here.
I'm gonna take a pumpkin and see if they try and stop me first.
They just kind of watch you. It's kind of a little bit of a... If they had eyebrows, they'd be cocking an eyebrow at you.
Okay. I'm going to take one of the smaller pumpkins, and I'm going to take my dagger off of my belt and carve a little heart into it, and then I'm going to hold it to my chest like that.
Make a performance check.
For God's sake.
I'm going to shout to Irina. Irina, this is as good as yours.
13.
I'm gonna look at.
You're doing all right, Job. It's all right. You see the hulking 6'4" Goliath pull out kind of like a little whittling knife, and with a surprising grace and sleight of hand, carves a quite nice little heart design on the side of one of the pumpkins.
Then I hold the heart bit to my chest so no one can see it, and I just come out holding a pumpkin.
Yep, and you see her emerge from the pantry.
Sorry, Mal. You say as good as mine.
Nearly.
Mal's joking.
So
Mal's
mine is-
always joking.
so
Mal's
mine is
joking all
better?
day. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I nod furiously at Mal.
Yes. Yes.
Dagger for eyes.
What I
Yes.
thought.
Nearly as good as yours. Not as good.
Well done.
But it's better.
Yours is better.
Is there anything else we can help you with? Any clothes that need mending or equipment need
Okay,
cleaning?
lady.
Any notes need taking? Is there anything we can do?
You can tell me one thing if if you'd like, if you're able to.
Can't hear
Mind
you.
if I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead. We can do our best.
Do you know how your masters would come in and out of the space, by any chance?
Mainly out.
Yes,
Through
precisely.
the door.
I asked them that.
We don't really leave the kitchen dining area much. The masters went away a long time ago. We were warned not to touch any of the books or any of the alchemical supplies, or they used to visit the planetarium along up on the upper floors, and there were piles of books within the library, but we just see them coming and going about their business, and do what we can to make their stay here as joyous as possible.
You've not seen any other creatures roaming around that are a little more skeptical in nature, have you?
There's a number of fairy dragons that reside within the Arboretum. They're mischievous, but harmless. I mean, we try to stay out of their way, and they tend to leave us alone if we stay away, and if we don't fall to their tricks. Other than that, there's a number of house cats, and it's prowl the corridors and see themselves for the most part. We leave food out once a day in the morning.
No odd furniture popping up out of the blue?
Mimics.
Sorry, a mimic? I don't understand.
Circling back, cats, like kittens.
Yes, I think that's what some people call them.
Have you seen
some
anything
kittens.
that doesn't fit the furnishing? So anything that is out of place that you've not noticed before or hasn't been here for a while?
Really, no one's been here to move anything around in as far as I remember. It's exactly the way they left it, and we make sure everything is cleaned in place and returned back to its rightful spot. And
So the dining room, there was one chair with a blue cushion. Did you clean that or place that?
yes, we seemed odd to be one missing or one different to the others, and 7 chairs for a 6-seater table. But who are we to question the master's design? And maybe they had
How
7 guests
long-
one day, so we continued to clean to follow orders.
How long has that blue chair been there?
For weeks, maybe longer. Time's not something I have a firm grasp on, I'm afraid. It's not something I fully understand.
But for less time than the master's has been away.
I think that's true, yes.
Interesting.
Just one question. There was I think it's known as a Twazak in the main entrance hall. Did you meet him?
Sorry, I don't understand.
A male in a grey robe.
While you're talking to this one, the other one has flown down and started like brushing and cleaning the residue off of Salar's foot, and like pulls out a small rag and starts like cleaning and buffing the bottom of the boot.
I'll look down. I'll just nod and thanks and just let them at it.
Terrible mess. Don't worry. It'll be back to new in just a few moments. And the one that's
Yeah,
speaking
so-
to you.
Oh, where you come from?
The Twazak is a male sage in a grey robe. Did you encounter them in the last few hours?
We heard some disruption in the grand foyer, but our orders is to stay within the serving areas and provide food and hospitality to the guests, and we're forbidden from venturing out uninvited. So we
But I thought you said you went around and cleaning things. So if you weren't allowed to go out the serving
That's
areas,
right,
how did
yes,
you
the-
get
we
to
clean
the dining room?
we clean the kitchen. We clean the dining room.
So you wouldn't have noticed if anything else was out of place across the mansion.
Not beyond these walls. No, not beyond these areas.
Are there just general cleaning versions of you?
I know. Each of the masters was only able to create one of us with their power and within their image, and we are connected to them for life until either our time comes to an end or theirs.
So you have 2 masters in this house.
Not in this house. No, they left some time ago.
No, but you were created by 2 separate masters.
That's correct. Yeah, I was created by Lady Fistandia, and this one down there was created by Freyot.
What does Freyot look like?
Old.
That looks. Let me double check. They're elven in nature, quite tall, yellow jackets, but silken in nature, very nice, difficult to repair, time consuming. Thread count is very high. It's quite hard to hide the stitches, but we get there. Takes pride in their appearance. They walk with their chin tilted upwards slightly and constantly muttering around how hard Fistandia works and how they wish they'd spend more time leaving and travelling and seeing the world rather than cooped up with their studies.
Hair color, eye color, that kind of thing?
The blue eyes and a kind of similar hair colour to that one over there. Points over to Irene.
And what does Fistandia look like?
She's an elven female. She has kind of wisps of grey coming through brown hair, a little bit older, even by elven standards, as I'm led to believe. Has kind of brown eyes, very, very high cheekbones, I understand attractive by standards as they go. Tired though in appearance, always tired.
Thank you.
Please, is there anything else? Only one of you wants food. Is there anything we can, your equipment?
We need a way out.
I'm afraid I'm not sure we can help there. We're just here to cook and clean and make repairs and things. You sure you don't have any armor needs repairing? Any cleaning?
I walk out the kitchen.
Can sharpen?
Not yet, but would you keep an eye out for us if you see anything else that's out of place, slightly like that blue chair was?
I mean, you're the only thing's out of place for several months now. It's other than yourselves, I don't imagine we're expecting any disturbances unless you're expecting guests yourselves.
Well, you might have a slight bit of a messy cleanup across in the dining room. Apologies for that.
Not to worry. We'll get right on that. Once you finish eating, we'll put away the silverware and the pots, and we'll make good the kitchen, and we'll start in the dining room right away.
I'll take a bit of a look around first, and I'll come back for a snack. How's that sound?
Is there anything you need? Just let us know, and if we can provide, we shall.
Thank you. I shall nod her head. Her in her ways.
They're alchemical supplies.
Yes, Master Freyart often dabbled with curios and different biological specimens and other things I heard mentioned in passing over dinner, but nothing I've seen. Must be in one of the rooms upstairs, or away from here.
While they're having this convo, I'm going to catch up to Dione and just say library.
Library.
It was
Okay.
very good soup.
Thank you.
I may be back for more, but I need to catch up with those guys. Irene, are you coming?
Yeah, come in.
Okay.
Well, I'm not eating, so yeah,
And you see them start flying around, and as you're leaving, they're muttering amongst themselves. Oh, it's nice to have people here again, isn't it? And I'm so glad they like the soup. It's our specialty. And yes. And they start. You hear the clatter of pots and pans, and you hear a flow of water begin as a sink starts to fill with water.
Irene shouts back as she hears, "Oh, I'm glad they enjoy the soup." She shouts back through the door, going, "It wasn't even that good," and close the door.
You hear a muffled, "You didn't even have any."
Irene hears nothing. Turns to Iggy and just notices the pumpkin that she's holding with a heart carved on it. And I go,
You are
Still,
back into the main corridor. There is a staircase leading to the upper floors. There are then, past the main entrance hall, there are 3 doors leading to rooms unopened, and then a glass window door leading out to a balcony that's just a swirling mess of colour and madness.
We're going to head off to the library, myself and Dione.
Do you know where the library is?
I think we should try the doors downstairs in the main foyer.
Let's do it.
You have 3 doors on your right. As you head down, which one would you like to go to?
Closest one
Sure.
says first.
Yeah, first one's first.
Okay. First one first. You get level with the door. You push the door open. Swings open effortlessly once more. You do see at the base of this door a small, as you open it, the bottom panel of the door swings freely. It appears to be the bottom panel of the door is on a hinge. Maybe about a foot square at the base. And as you push open the door, you see the entire far wall of this room is a floor-to-ceiling bookshelf. Even more books are resting on these wonderful plush-looking armchairs. There's small wooden tables, several paintings on the walls, and there's a large-ish, for a cat size, fluffy black cat is curled up on one of the chairs.
I'm going to eye the cat a little suspiciously.
It seems to just be sleeping and snoozing. You can see kind of its belly rising up and down slowly. And as you enter this room, you see there is a number of paintings on the wall. There are 3 paintings that take up like a third of the room each. One is a landscape scene with a large green dragon that's emerging from a pine grove. There's one that's a study of a Pegasus in flight with kind of geometric shapes and mathematical equations and angles, and almost like a biology study of the beast. And then a portrait of a unicorn within a wooded glade. Who's in that room? Sorry, who goes into that room?
Sahar and Dione.
Okay, what's the rest of you doing?
Trying to catch up, but not there.
Yeah, following.
Okay.
Yeah, follow.
So eventually the rest of you catch up and you all step into the room. Irini, you would recognise the painting of the unicorn. It's a variation, a stylised portrait of Leroux, which is I get my history correct. Leroux is the unicorn queen, or the queen of talking beasts, and it's an arch-fae. You've heard many
Do
stories.
I know her on a personal note?
No, you know of their existence. You know that there is a unicorn queen and an arch-fae that roams the lands in which you come from, and that they are a beast of good, and that they are worshipped by many unicorns, pegasi, and other intelligent non-humanoid creatures. And they're often romanticized by seafaring folk. But yeah, you are aware of that's what it's a picture of. And as you find yourselves entering this room of this library, one of you filled with pumpkin and roasted red pepper soup, one of you nursing a couple of injuries from a mimic slapping you, the cat purring quietly, asleep on the chair. You guys find yourselves continuing your exploration of the Morning Canaan's magnificent mansion, and we will pick up the remainder of the session next week, and we will wrap up there.
Roll to pet the cat.
Roll to pet the cat.
Can you pet dog?
So, thank you very, very much to our wonderful chat. Thank you very much for your kind words, your support, your engagement. It's fantastic.
Even though Evil Wabbit was mean to me.
We really do appreciate it.
Everyone's mean to you.
So
We really appreciate you guys taking the time out to come in and check out what we're up to. Thank you very much for the follows, for the likes and the shares on social media on the run up to this. Congratulations again to Phoenix 2017, who won our copy, this week's copy of Candlekeep Mysteries, the digital version through D&D Beyond. Thank you very much. Fantastic to meet our 5-player characters and a little bit of a glimpse into what they are like and what they may be capable of down the road. Got a few quick thanks just once more before we wrap up. So again, thank you very much to our players. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for agreeing to being in the game, and for all the work and effort you guys have put behind the scenes in getting your characters up to scratch, and more importantly, helping out with the social media, with being mods, being able to put a lot of the technology and a lot of the work that goes into these sort of streams together. Really helps us out. We use a Fiverr freelance artist by Rubik Designs, who's a digital stream designer specializing in Twitch overlays and animation, who provided the lovely animated overlays that we use. You can check them out in the links below under partners. If you did miss this episode or want to give us a follow so you can keep up to date with everything going on at the Short Rest Tavern, we have a link to our YouTube channel where you can catch up all our archive stuff. This being episode 1, there's not a lot up there just yet, but as time goes on, if you've missed anything or want to rewatch anything, it's all going to be on YouTube. For those in the chat, please, if you can spare the time, drop us a follow here on Twitch. You can find us over at Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. A like or a follow or a share doesn't cost anything, takes a couple of seconds, and it massively helps us out. If you know anyone else who's interested in D&D or enjoys the narrative storytelling side of things, and you think they might enjoy our content, send them our way, get them to tune in and see what we're all about. If any of you want to support the channel and help us to offset some of the ongoing costs that it takes to run the Short Rest Tavern, there's a sub donate and support button below, which takes you through to Buy Me a Coffee, which is our donation page. With 100% of all proceeds go back into the channel, allow us to look at things like giveaways and increasing the production of the Short Rest Tavern going forward. We are going to be back every Monday at 7:30 UK time GMT, where we will pick up episode 2 of the Short Rest Tavern, The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces Part 2. And we will continue forward and see where we end up.
Also, thank you to the guys who came over from Hey Charlie. Thank you for the raid.
Yep, thank you very much. I always appreciate more people checking us out. And then finally, big thanks to our friends over at D&D Beyond, who kindly support the channel by tonight's giveaway. And we're going to have a few more of those to give away in subsequent shows. So if you want to be in a chance of winning your own very own copy of Candlekeep Mysteries through D&D Beyond, please tune in next Monday and catch us then, and you will get the week's code. Drop it in during the break and be in a chance. So we'll wrap up. Thank you very much. Wish you all a good night. This is the Short Rest Tavern, where we tell tales, share stories, and explore adventures through Dungeons and Dragons. Say good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye.
I almost forgot to unmute you, but
It's time at the bar.
Bye.